just getting started.
Sports talk it is.
Your hosts, Tony Gwynn Jr.
For your chance to win a pair of tickets. Wow, what is this, DePeche?
And Chris Ello.
Guy Rosario got a couple of at-bats last year. Brent Rooker got some at-bats.
Eggy
Rosario, I said E-Guy.
That needs to be a promo as well.
It's time to get you up to speed on all things sports.
Yes!
With plenty of nonsense in between.
Oh, look! Here comes our fearless producer!
Gwynn and Chris starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
And welcome to it, San Diego. Happy Wednesday to you. Kicking things off here for a 4-hour show. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Gwynn and Chris on San Diego's #1 sports talk station, 97.3 The Fan. Matt Scraby is idle today. Nick DiNucci is filling in for Mr. Scraby. Nick, don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. You do not have a lot to live up to. So just hang in there. Follow along with us for the next 4 hours. We got a good one lined up for you today. We got all the bases covered for you, including the World Series, of course. AJ Cassavell, our Padre writer from MLB.com, will be on the show in the 3 o'clock hour. But before we get to him, we'll talk some NFL with former NFL two-time Super Bowl winning cornerback Bryant McFadden. Played with the Steelers many years, also the Arizona Cardinals. He works for CBS Radio. He will join us today. And we'll also get into some basketball later. That'll make Tony Gwynn Jr. happy. His Lakers are in Cleveland tonight, which means LeBron James is returning home.
Which means we'll be watching some basketball here today, too.
I have a feeling I will lose your attention at about 4 o'clock today when the Lakers tip things off. But former Clipper NBA analyst Jim Brogan will talk some basketball with us. So we got all of that stuff coming up, along with our regular stuff, Daily Gambit, Chris vs. the Fan, Big Five. And I got to tell you, it feels pretty liberating, Tony, to be in here without Scraby lording over me.
Yeah, well,
More relaxed than usual.
He's not here to take any shots, to lord over you.
No kidding, man.
Or say something completely egregious.
Or just complain bitterly about everything going on in the world.
Yeah,
so we will have a happy show today, or at least we will intend to do that. We can start with the happiness that is the fact the Dodgers have not yet clinched the World Series. The Yankees are going to make them work for it a little bit. New York takes Game 4 last night, Tony, 11-4. First, I want to address this, though. Big headlines everywhere today, LA Times, etc. Dodgers just go ahead and punt on Game 4. I'm getting tired of this, that evidently the Dodgers are so good now that they can just choose when to lose. They said the very same thing every time they lost a game to the Mets in the NLCS. Apparently, they only lost to the Padres on purpose, for all I know. I understand that they did not use their best relievers last night. They were behind. Normally, when you're behind, you don't use your best guys. Secondly, did they tell all of their batters to take the night off as well? I mean, other than Freddie Freeman's home run, which is a guarantee, it seems. Dodgers didn't do much. Yankees bullpen allowed only one hit over the final 5 innings, shut them down. So, this whole notion that the Dodgers are losing on purpose is taking away, to me, the credit of the other team, which the Yankees give them credit, man. They've been knocked down for 3 games. They got off the mat last night, Tony.
Yeah, I agree. I think, as oftentimes, we sensationalize this time of year because we know how important it is. And so, it lends itself to these type of headlines where it just seems like the Dodgers are just picking and choosing when they want to win and lose.
Yes.
And we know that's not the case, right? Matter of fact, the Dodgers weren't even capable of this until they beat the Padres. And now all of a sudden they beat the Padres, and now they can dictate when they win and lose. Now, I get what you're saying, but Chris, you kind of defined it perfectly. Typically, every team who is losing a ball game does not use their best relievers.
You don't bring your closer in the fourth inning when you're down 6-3 or something.
It has never worked that way, and it hasn't worked that way in the playoffs. And just because we're in it, we have had that headline multiple times now. The Dodgers are punting. No,
they're just giving up.
They're not giving up. Had they had the lead, you would have seen their best guys.
If they would have led 4-2 in the 6th inning, you would have seen Gratterall, you would have seen Vesia, you would have seen, obviously Trinan to close.
Right. You would have seen all.
So thank you. The Yankees get the credit. They shook off the Freeman home run in the 1st inning. And they were able to come back. And Volpe, look, I mean, that inning in the 3rd inning was about to be yet another Yankee disaster, right? You had bases loaded, 1 out, and Rizzo pops up to shortstop. And you're thinking, well, we've seen this all series. Yankees get a chance finally to score, and they waste it. But only they didn't waste it. I mean, give credit to Anthony Volpe. He hits the grand slam, Tony, an inning after one of the more embarrassing adventures on the bases we've seen in the World Series in a long time. The guy does not score from second base on a double off the top of the fence. He had to be embarrassed about it. I think everybody else kind of was too, but he shook it off. Next AB, opportunity presented itself, slammed one into the seats. And, look, Yankee Stadium is I had never really thought of Yankee Stadium in this light before, Tony. But there were at least, I would say, 3 home runs hit last night, including Freddie Freeman's. But I think Volpe and the one that Gleyber Torres hit as well, which wouldn't have been out of the ballpark in any other ballpark in baseball. So, you got to take advantage of what you got there. Volpe, hit it into the second row there, and it turned the game around. And then when the Dodgers came back on him, the Yankees bullpen was able to hold the door. So I give them full credit.
They deserve it.
We've talked about this. Teams that go down 3-0 in the World Series, 89% of the time they lose the 4th game and it's over.
Right.
Yankees,
there's only been, a few that have gotten to
only
a game
5. Only a few have changed that narrative, and the Yankees did that last night. And now they have their best pitcher, Garrett Cole, who I felt, had the Dodgers pretty well under control in Game 1. I don't see any reason why he can't, keep them at bay again. And, if the Yankees win the 2nd game, I don't want to say all bets are off because I know the Dodgers will be coming home. But, the old story, Tony, you give somebody a little momentum, that can take you a long way. So
I think the other thing is it buys them another game for Aaron Judge to figure out who looked a little bit better.
A little better
last night. Had the RBI.
Yeah.
He didn't punch out in yesterday's game. So, that's the thing that is the wild card.
Yeah, the Dodgers want to get to the finish line before Judge wakes up.
Because if Judge wakes up, because listen, what I think is pretty apparent is I don't see Ohtani waking up in the same way because he's
hurt.
He's hurt.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think there's any question about it. And so if I'm the Dodgers, I want to get this thing over quickly because the last thing you want is for Judge to get hot. You already know Soto's pretty much swinging the bat. Torres is swinging the bat all right at the top. You don't need any extra variables to pop up right now.
The guy that woke up last night was Austin Wells. He had been about 4 for 60 in the playoffs, and then he homers and he doubles off the top of the wall. Yeah, I mean, so this crazy notion that the Dodgers phoned the game in last night on purpose is so stupid. And, everybody keeps going with it, including our favorite guy, Ken Rosenthal, who probably applaud Dave Roberts again for losing on purpose as he did in the National League Championship Series. So
listen, I think the term punt may have been used, right? But it starts when it's said over and over again, it starts to feel like, oh, okay, these guys are picking and choosing when they're winning. But that's just not the case.
They're good.
Punt in the terms of, we don't have a starter, so we're going to run these relievers out here. But we're still trying to win this game until it gets out of hand.
No, you hit it right. If they would have been leading, they would have used all their relievers.
No
they
doubt.
would not have punted the game, but they were not winning. And so they brought in their other guys, and our old friend Honeywell had a difficult 8th inning there. But so anyway, good on the Yankees. I mean, the series is going. We got another game tonight. It'll be Cole. It'll be Flaherty. And, we'll see what happens as this thing, maybe the Yankees are able to. I like the Yankees' attitude. They said, look, the Dodgers are going back to Los Angeles. We want to make sure we're going with them. And, I think that's
right.
the attitude you got to have, and we'll see. Now, we got the unimportant stuff about last night's game out of the way.
Do we want to hold on to this? Because I feel like this next one could be worth
you
a
want to
full
hold
segment.
on to this? I mean, we can hold on to the next segment, but this whole crazy play in right field with Mookie Betts has everybody chomping at the bit. So we'll get into that in just in the next segment here. But look, the World Series is alive and well, and we'll see. The Grand Slam rate in this postseason has been crazy. I think there's been 7 or 8 Grand Slams.
Yeah.
And, so is the Yankees' turn to get one last night.
It has been the big homer that has kind of
won these games.
It's been homers ultimately that have been the big piece to the wins that each of the teams have had.
What can you say about Freddie Freeman other than the fact that there is nothing that any Dodger player could do tonight, and that would include, to me, Flaherty throwing a no-hitter
to win and take this
to take the MVP award away from Freddie Freeman if the Dodgers win, right?
I would have said
homered in every game. The Yankees ought to consider rolling the ball up there in the first inning tonight so he doesn't hit another 2-run homer. But we've seen guys, Tony, everybody locks in.
Yeah.
But to lock in like he is right now at this time, this is the stuff that makes you a legend in the game, doesn't it?
The mere fact that he was, playing in the first series.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like he had no business playing. And, quite frankly, I think he probably, he had to sit out a couple games in the series against the Pods, the series against the Mets. And so, I think health is a big reason why he's popped up the way he has. Or popped out, I should say, the way he has in this World Series. And as I said yesterday, man, Freddie has always been one of the best hitters in baseball. This dude is, it was a story that he left the Braves for a reason. Like they couldn't believe they let him go.
Yeah, he couldn't believe that he left there. He did not.
No.
He did not love it. He's not like a lot of the. I don't want to say, but a lot of the money-chasing free agents who just look for the highest bidder and are ecstatic to take it. I always felt like Freddie Freeman really wanted Atlanta. He did not. The Dodgers gave him a great salary, but I didn't feel like he ever really wanted to even go.
Do you remember how Kershaw felt when they went back to Atlanta and it was a little bit too chummy? Because clearly,
yes, right. I do remember that.
He didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave Atlanta, and so. To see him on this stage now, especially considering all the things he's been through this season, it'll be pretty tough to take it away from him. I don't know that anybody's going to be able to do enough in one game to take it away from him.
Now, he's got it locked up. Ohtani is in the lineup, if you're wondering. The Dodgers are not going to make a change there, but he's clearly hurting. Especially you saw it last night on that ground ball when he was on first base and he had to hold his shoulder in place.
Yeah,
and he still almost beat the play at second. I got to give the guy a lot of credit. I think a lot of guys would not be playing under these circumstances.
But, again, you see the tone is set by your leaders on that team. Freddie Freeman trying to gut through that first portion.
That gets Ohtani to do the same thing.
How can you not show up? You know what I'm saying?
Good point. Yeah, Betts is in there. They did change the bottom of the order a little bit. The Dodgers, Edman, Will Smith will hit 8th. Gavin Lux drops to 9th. Yankees stay with the exact same lineup they had last night, which is no surprise. Garrett Cole, Jack Flaherty. That is game number 5 now of the World Series. All right, we'll take our first break. And when we come back, we will address, I guess you're going to call it interference gate or stupid fan gate. Yeah, stupid fan gate. However you want to. We'll discuss all of that and everything that's come out of that. If you haven't heard, we'll update you and get this show on the road. Bryant McFadden from CBS Sports, NFL analyst, former Super Bowl winner, joins us to take us around the NFL also in this hour. So stick around. It's Chris Ello, it's Tony Gwynn Jr., and Nick DiNucci in there for Scraby today. And like I said earlier, Nick, small shoes to fill.
You'll be good, brother. You'll be good.
You'll be good. Relax. Enjoy yourself. It's Gwynn and Chris on 97.3 The Fan.
2:20 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Scraby, not here.
Yeah, baby.
We're enjoying ourselves today.
No kidding.
Nick DiNucci on the ones and twos, replacing Matt.
And we might get lucky, too, because, he's probably going to throw his shoulder out. Trying to golf today. So
he'll be in here tomorrow with a sling
expecting
on.
I'm expecting that tweet or a text any moment now.
I hope it's not the surgically repaired.
It will be.
That's what we're
counting on.
That's what we're
counting on.
I see how this is going.
For him to throw that out of whack today. Hopefully he does it while he's angry with himself for a bad shot, and he throws his club or something and
doing what Scraby does. Being angry about something.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's talk about it. Speaking of being angry about something, last night was really one of the first baseball examples we've had on a subject that Chris and I talk about often on this show. Unruly fan behavior since the pandemic that we've noticed has really taken off. And typically, you deal with this in basketball where you're a little bit closer. You deal with it maybe in some football elements, but that's usually fan-on-fan type deal.
Right. Fan-on-fan, yes. There's too many examples of that.
But this one is unique. And, as a lover of baseball, I'm very happy that it was Mookie Betts that was the guy that was enduring it.
And why is that? Why?
Because of his level-headedness.
You think he's classy enough to not have done something crazy, which many other outfielders could have done there.
A lot of other outfielders.
Yeah, right.
And so I'll start there. Because he didn't react to it in a way that I think many people would have, we're only talking about it from this standpoint of two fans being idiots, basically.
Mm-hmm. You're right, Tony. I didn't even think of this. It could have been a lot bigger of a deal.
If Mookie had come down with the ball and his wrist and arm is stuck up there, and he reacts by climbing that wall and taking a swing, or even swinging his glove at the fan, we'd be having a different conversation, because who knows what that leads to at that point. I don't know if you guys remember, I can't remember how long ago, but it was the Rangers and Athletics. Do you remember the situation where some players it was like right in the cusp of going in the stands at this point? I don't know if you guys remember. This was maybe maybe 2008, 9, 10, somewhere in there.
I don't.
Somewhere in it. But it was an ugly time. It was an ugly incident for baseball. Thankfully, as I said, Mookie Betts didn't react other than really to get the call. That's what he was most concerned about, was
because when he pulled his arm back
tried to pull his arm
when
back.
He finally extracted himself, his arm was still attached.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. I mean, I'm reading tweets from people that are quoting these idiots.
Oh yeah, please read those.
Who were saying, "Hey, anybody comes into our area of the field, we're playing defense." And people are posting this like, these guys should be celebrated in some way for trying to help their team win. This Mookie Betts, by all rights, should have had his shoulder pulled out of the. He could miss the rest of the World Series on something this stupid, and he's really lucky he didn't. And I'm not all about let's just don't worry about stuff that didn't happen, but. You talk about affecting something and making your game look really, really bad.
It looked like in real time something was about to happen, right? I mean, the way his arm is up on that, I don't know what railing at that point.
Yeah, ledge maybe.
It looked like his wrist was in jeopardy there for a second. Now, you can't tell how hard that's actually happened, but I do know Mookie Betts was fully stretched out. It wasn't like he had any bend in his elbow.
You're already in that sensitive
He's
position.
in a sensitive spot.
Right. So if he gets
and
hit
for
there,
these,
it's like, it could be bad.
I beg you guys to go back and look at a couple still shots. This is how outrageous. First of all, the mere fact that my man was holding Mookie Betts' offhand wrist and the other guy is prying the baseball out of the glove. That's one thing. But if you take a couple clicks down, which is towards the right field wall, there is some guy in the stands with a full-on Evil Shield wrist-sliding handguard on. And I'm bringing it up to say, boy, oh boy, you think you're really involved in this game if you are showing up as a full, live, grown adult with a sliding, the oven mitt that these guys wear on base? There's a
like
dude with
cyan
an
color.
oven mitt on in the stands.
It's like turquoise
Coach,
colors.
I'm ready to run anytime you need me to.
Well, the other crazy thing was these guys actually started getting into it with the umpire, trying to plead their case.
Yes.
And the
trying
umpire
to tell the umpire the rule.
Yeah, they were in the stand. He was in the stands. We have every right to do what we did. I'm really upset, honestly, with the final fallout of this, or at least what's being reported. These two fans are banned from the game tonight. There's no word on whether the ban could be longer or not. First of all, it should be forever, as far as I'm concerned. I don't need to see these guys in any game.
You
but
can't
secondly, they're saying they're going to refund their ticket money.
That's even worse.
For what?
Yeah, you don't.
Why do you
deserve a
get your
refund.
money back?
No,
you're
there should be
assaulting
some
the players.
repercussions to wrestling
I
the
would-
ball
yeah.
out of a player's hand. You paid money to watch the game.
Yes, you did.
Not to be a part
or
of
to
the game.
or to compromise the integrity of the
it-
competition.
Come on, man. This ain't even. This
No,
ain't.
on
This shouldn't
top
even
of-
be a question.
On top of potentially hurting Mookie too, for sure. It's not not necessary.
Here's the kicker. I happen to be scrolling today, looking for different things said on it. Rob Gronkowski. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Oh, that's another angle. This guy is his friend.
This guy, Rob Gronkowski, points out that this guy went to Arizona while he was there. He was on the hockey team.
Unbelievable.
And before, I don't know the young lady's name who was hosting the show, before she kind of put him on the spot, we had a guy like Rob Gronkowski cheering this as well. And it wasn't until the young lady kind of reeled him back in and was like, so I just want to make it clear, you're not actually condoning what's happening. And he kind of caught himself. He was having fun with it, but I think he wasn't realizing what he was actually saying.
Right.
But, I mean, the mere fact that there are so many people, and this ain't even a Padre Dodger thing. There are too many people celebrating the fact that these fans did what they did.
Oh, there's photos of these guys. I think people want to get their autographs.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
It just says a lot about where we're at.
Knowing what
sometimes.
we know about our outfielders here in San Diego, what do you think would have happened if that would have happened to Jerickson?
Profar?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Nobody in Dodger Stadium even touched Jerickson. He went a little crazy. I could see Fernando having a reaction or two.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
this was so embarrassing, and it puts a bad light on all fans.
How about the Yankees initially were going to allow them back for Game 5? It wasn't until Major League Baseball
Tony Clark had to get involved in
reached out and said, hey, I think we should probably not have these guys for Game 5. Now, after Game 5, they buy themselves some time because the series shifts back to L.A.
So there won't be any games back in New York for a while.
There won't be any games back, so they don't have to make a decision on that. But if I were the
I'm
Yankees,
making a decision for them on that.
If I were the Yankees, this dude's supposedly a season ticket holder. I would refund them all of 2025 back.
They got to revoke those season tickets. It's going to be a really bad look for the Yankees.
That is a terrible look, man.
Yeah,
ultimately.
the Yankee fans already, look, I'm assuming 95% of Yankee fans are just terrific baseball fans who want to go enjoy a game. But Yankee fans already have an image of being unruly and out of control. And now, when this happened last night, anyway. It's such an easy one. I feel like I'm just piling on something that's simple, but unfortunately, we have to keep piling on this because there's a lot of people that really don't see the issue here.
If the ball comes in our territory, we're going to play defense. What?
And that was celebrated by people laughing, like Gronkowski. Thought it was hilarious.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so that's been the bigger story today, which
Unfortunately,
is crazy.
this World Series is going to be remembered for Freddie Freeman's home runs and those two idiots.
Man, do
you remember, and I'm not calling this kid an idiot, but for an example, do you remember anything else about the Baltimore-New York Yankee playoff series of yore other than Jeffrey Mayer reaching over and catching the ball.
I remember Tony Tarasco
and
losing
him arguing,
his mind
but
in
that's
right field.
It.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the same thing on this World Series 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the one where the guy tried to pull Mookie's arm off.
I mean, literally, that's what it looked like. That's what it really looked like.
Yeah.
Just bad all the way around. Thankfully, Major League Baseball stepped in and got this one right because it certainly seemed like the Yankees were certainly on their way to allowing these two jokers back in.
And these guys have already been told that if they try to get in on anybody else's tickets or try to get tickets in any other way, they will be on the lookout for them. They will be immediately arrested if they try to get into the stadium. Yeah. So good luck with that, guys.
All right, let's step away. We'll switch gears to the NFL. Bryant McFadden joins us, former Steeler, now CBS NFL analyst. Let's talk a little bit about some NFL and go around the league on Gwynn and Chris.
I don't think you guys know the setup here in the studio. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Nick DiNucci sitting in for Scraby today. But here's one of the things. You see us on the camera, etc., on YouTube. And if you're not into that or don't know about it, you can indeed watch the show. Go to YouTube, search 97.3 The Fan, or just search Gwynn and Chris on the YouTube channels there. You can watch the show. Many people like that. Other people like to just, keep it on the radio. So however you want to enjoy Gwynn and Chris. But one of the things here is that Tony and I are separated by my computer screen, and I kind of have to lean up to see his eyes. He has to lean up just a little bit to see me. So we don't often, look face to face. But when we're talking to each other, we try to kind of strain and look. Why I'm saying that is I can't see what he's got in front of him on the desk. But whatever it is, it sure smells good.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I know. I don't know what you're having over there, but I want a lot of it.
Little chicken. Chicken and rice.
Chicken? Man, that smells, anyway.
Real quick, can I give a shout out?
Just jealous.
Shout out to my good friend, Will Venable.
Yes!
Gets the managerial
job. Good
for
him.
For the White Sox. Now, I don't know if that's good or bad, but
I think
being
it's
a
great.
manager is a good thing.
Dude, if he only wins
him,
41 games next year, it's an improvement.
No kidding.
He can look at the media and go, hey, we're taking steps in the right direction.
Yeah, no. So, congratulations to my man, Will Venable. He's very well deserving. He's been on this journey for a little bit now.
Yeah.
He gets to be the head honcho.
We'll have to have him on at some point during the summer and ask him if he knows what he's gotten himself into. All right, we're going to do some NFL in this segment. Bryant McFadden played a cornerback for the Pittsburgh Steelers for many, many years. Actually played under Mike Tomlin, so that was an obvious place to go with this interview and other things. But now an NFL analyst for CBS Sports, and really a good guy, a fun guy, and a two-time Super Bowl winning player for the Steelers back in the day. So let's take a little trip around the National Football League and our visit with Bryant McFadden. And indeed, we are talking some NFL with former NFL cornerback Bryant McFadden. Played with mostly with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now a CBS NFL analyst, CBS Radio NFL analyst. Nice enough to spend a little time with us here. And Bryant, interesting you played for the Steelers mostly because, this show loves the Steelers, or more specifically, this show loves Mike Tomlin, your former head coach, and I've always wanted to find out a little insight. He's having a really nice season again. He's been doing it for a long, long time. Does he have the support of Bryant McFadden?
No question. No question. You talk about my support, of course, being there hands-on with Coach T when I played under him. I know what type of coach he is. Number one, to be successful in the National Football League as a head coach, you have to be a leader of men. You have to be able to command the locker room. You have to be able to garnish the respect of the guys that you're coaching. He's always had that ability, and it's no surprise to see the success he's had throughout his career, and most recently what he's doing this season.
Brian, on those same lines, I mean, he recognized that the soft spot of this Steelers team last year was the quarterback position. They bring in Justin Fields. They bring in Russell Wilson, and it looks like Russell Wilson's going to start the season as a starter. He has a calf injury. Fields comes in, and he gets the team off to a great start. Yet Tomlin felt like there was more to be had, and he inserts Russell Wilson, and all of a sudden this offense looks like it's got some dynamic feel to it. What did you make of the quarterback change and how it's gone so far?
You know what? Honestly, I was a bit concerned because one thing I know about football, it's a rhythm-like sport, and the same can be said for any sport. When you got a good rhythm and you're winning games, you don't really want to make a drastic change because you don't know if that's going to mess up the winning rhythm, the winning ingredient. So I was a bit concerned, but one thing I did say when I was asked that question the week of knowing that Mike Tomlin made that quarterback switch, I said, one thing I won't question is Mike Tomlin's football intellect. One thing I won't question is his ability to know what is best for his team. And I said, Yeah, I'm a bit concerned, like most people are, because you 4-2, you make a quarterback change. You like, what happens if Russ gets in and the offense becomes stagnant and we're losing ball games? Then you got to worry about answering that question: was that the right move? And if it derails the season, can you get over that hurdle? So I said, I trust his ability to understand and know what's right, and to put his team in position to win. And so far in 2 games, he's looking like a genius. Yeah. And see, that's the thing about head coaches. That's why they get paid the top dollars, because they gotta be willing to make decisions that most outsiders do not understand. Because you're going to get questioned. You will be questioned about those decisions, especially if it don't work. And if they do work, you still have some people looking at you with a side eye. But that's what comes with that role when you're a head coach.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin has been doing it a long time. Bryant McFadden played for him in Pittsburgh, and joining us here to talk a little NFL. And yeah, the Steelers are 6-2, but they, like everybody else, is still looking up at the top, and that's where Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are. Bryant, again, 2-time champs, and now 7-0. You played cornerback in the NFL. How crazy would it have been to try and defend Patrick Mahomes? The thing that gets me is his ability to keep plays alive and find somebody at the last second almost every time and break your heart on defense.
He's Mr. Clutch. He's a guy, when you think you have him, you don't have him. He is a guy, when you play the Kansas City Chiefs, you actually got to play 5 quarters. Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because even when you have him in the 4th quarter, he provides a spark. You cannot just get complacent when you have him in the 4th quarter and think, oh, yeah, we got him. No. This is a guy, he's never out of it. You know how old saying in sports, you got to cut the head off the snake to have a shot? You literally got to cut the head off the snake. You can't slice that snake in the middle. You got to cut the head off when you're playing against Kansas City, because they're never out of it. And to your point, think about this, guys. Pat Mahomes as an individual is probably having the worst start of his career, in his career this season. But they're undefeated. They're undefeated. And they're undefeated. He don't have his number 1, wide receiver 1. He don't have his wide receiver 2. They just lost Juju Smith-Schuster. They just lost their RB1 and Isaiah Pacheco, and they're still finding ways to win. That's the thing about great teams. The difference between great teams and good teams show you good flashes and sometimes bad flashes. Great teams show you great flashes and good flashes. And when they show those good flashes, they still win.
Yeah. Certainly, Chiefs certainly fit the mold there. Bryant McFadden joins us, and the other hot issue in the NFL right now is the situation out in Indianapolis. Obviously, their quarterback Anthony Richardson tapped out of a game. Something I think that most of us, at least who've been watching it, and I'd have to ask you on the side of playing, have never seen before. The next day they take away his job. Now they're certainly saying it had nothing to do with that, but what can that do to the psyche of a team to see the guy who's leading them tap out of a game? Because it doesn't seem like it could be that big of an issue, but clearly it is.
I mean, if I was on that team, I wouldn't want to make it known that I had an issue with it, because you don't want to have a distraction surface, but clearly that's the issue.
Right.
Like, you play the quarterback position, and to your point, as you gave the intro into what we're talking about with the coach, you said something that we've never seen before. Right? I don't know how much ball y'all have watched, but I've been watching ball a long, long time. As a kid, as a young adult, and now as a full adult, because I'm older. I had never seen a professional quarterback run 15 yards and tap out, because I literally thought he was injured when I saw it happen, because I was watching the game live. I literally thought something was wrong with him. I'm like, oh boy, he's hurt again, because he's been dealing with a lot of injuries. But then when he came up to the presser and you actually admitted that, that's where you know there's some growing up needs to be done.
Yeah.
Right? Because even if you were tired in that moment, you don't admit that you were tired to all of us. You could have said I was feeling like I was going to get a cramp. I had some turf pebbles, get in my eye, something. My hamstring got a little tight. You could have said any of that, and we all would have accepted that.
Yeah.
But you came up immaturely and said, "Oh man, I was tired." But you never admit that you're tired. You play quarterback, and why are you tired playing the quarterback position in week 8, week 7, whatever it is. This isn't week 1. So,
right.
so making that statement, it didn't help him, and also playing poorly didn't help either. You know what I mean? Because I think the statement wouldn't have came off as big of an attention getter as it was if he was playing better.
Yeah. Bryant McFadden has a couple of Super Bowl rings with the Steelers. I think if Richardson would have come up to you and said, "Hey, I'm tired," you could have said, "I can't hear you. I have my 2 Super Bowl rings in my ears." And just passed it off, Bryant.
Said, you know what I'd have said? Suck it up.
Suck it up.
Man, but we need it, bro. Come on, what you mean? We driving, we're down. You play quarterback. You ain't wide receiver when you running 100 routes a day. Suck it up. Think about at any level of football, when you're dealing with kids, whatever the case may be, youth football. If your quarterback sit here and tell you he's tired, as a coach, what are we going to tell him? Hey, man, no, you got to play. You play quarterback.
Yeah.
What do you think of Aaron Rodgers? What do you make of him right at this stage of his career? I mean, you saw him at his greatest. I think we're seeing him at far less than his greatest now. What should he do? What should the Jets do with him right now?
Well, they have nothing to answer the latter first. The Jets can't do anything with him but start him.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. Because even though the season has really kind of been derailed, you still have to start him. And you got a serviceable guy behind him in Tyrod Taylor, who's played a lot of football in the league, but you still have to start him as long as he's healthy. Now, what could be done to try to revitalize their season? Number one, they got to create leadership within the building. I don't care what you're a part of. When you're a part of anything that requires multiple people to be involved for you to be successful, that's a team-oriented atmosphere.
Yeah.
You have to have leadership. You have to have leadership, and you have to have respect involved. I don't know if they have the leadership, because you know why I say that, guys? We just heard a week ago, as they got ready for the game against New England, the person who was talking to the team was Devontae Adams. Devontae had just got to town.
Yeah.
Right? You see what I'm saying? Like, if someone is going to be addressing the team, shouldn't it be someone who's been around for quite some time? Or your franchise quarterback? But instead, the person who was addressing the team was someone who just got to New York. He ain't even got a bus pass yet. He ain't been there long enough to get that.
Yes.
So I'm just looking at it from the view of teams that I was a part of, and why we were so successful was because we had leadership. We had guys that can kind of rally the troops, because coaches only can do so much when it comes to locker room leadership. We had guys that can rally the troops and get everybody together and keep the morale up. That team is too good of a team on paper to be as bad as they've been on film.
Yeah, there's no question. Bryant McFadden. Last thing, Bryant, before I let you go, you played cornerback, and I don't know if this coincided with when you played, but were you allowed to, when you played, could you touch receivers when they were running routes? Could you bump them off their route? As opposed to today, how do any cornerbacks cover any wide receivers in the NFL?
Well, back then, and I don't want to say back then because I'm not that old, even though I'm older, and the rules were a little different when I first got into the league when I was drafted in 2005. Yeah, we can get a little more physical. We can touch them up a little bit. You know, that was the era where you come across the middle, you might get your head knocked off, took off.
Yeah.
That was that era. You know what I mean? You guys remember the highlights where we used to see on normal broadcasts where it was a routine thing. You got jacked up, you know what I mean? That used to be a segment, you know what I mean, where people watch the hardest hits of the week.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Right.
It was different then. In today's NFL world and football world in totality, you got to be very, very cautious. That's why you got to really rely on your technique and your film study. Because nowadays when you watch guys cover wide receivers, it can be accidental contact. They're throwing it. And it can be the accidental contact that doesn't really knock the receiver off his route. It's just because you touched him. How can I be penalized for accidentally touching a guy who's running 4.3 at me full speed while I'm backpedaling? Right?
Yeah.
It's not like I abruptly was physical with him. It was just accidental contact. But that's the name of the game because they want to have points. Think about this. Think about how backwards this move is, right? With the new kickoff rules where you got to either kick the ball a certain place to force them to return, or if not, you kick the ball out of bounds, they instantly get the ball to the 30-yard line. So what happens for a defense that has a 2-point lead, and they instantly get the ball at the 30-yard line? Looking at how good kickers have been, they get 2 plays, they in field goal range, basically.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like, you instantly, if you don't return the football, or if your kicker doesn't kick it in the soft spot, we got great field position because we got the ball at the 30-yard line, and all we need is a field goal to win.
Damn, never do anything nice for you old defensive guys, Bryant.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'm talking like, hey, I'm talking like I'm still playing. It just annoys me because I watch it, and I'm like, come on, bro. Like, they already halfway in field goal range instantly from good field position because they get the ball at the 30-yard line.
You can say it. It's soft. They're soft. That's okay. Bryant McFadden, so much fun talking to you about the NFL, and I hope we can do it again. Appreciate your time, and best of luck, continued success with your new career in the media, and thanks again for talking to us here in Southern California.
Oh, man, thank you for having me, and go Dodgers.
Okay. Thanks, Bryant.
Take care.
Got to edit that out this time. There he is, Bryant McFadden from CBS Sports on the NFL. He was funny, Tony. Before we brought him on, we asked, he was on his way to his son's football practice. I said, what position does he play? And he goes, what do you think? And I said, I don't know, cornerback. And I said, you're going to make him play the hardest position on the field? And he goes, he was backpedaling before he knew how to walk.
I
Get
guess,
him in that back pedal.
Guess he sounds ready.
Yeah, he's ready. So anyway, NFL week number 9, I guess it is, gets underway tomorrow night. Jets are on prime time again, so just keep getting used to it. You know, I mean, they made the schedule with Aaron Rodgers in mind. So it's the Texans and the Jets kicking off the upcoming week of NFL football tomorrow. There is one good game on Sunday, at least one good game. Detroit and Green Bay matchup in the NFC North, which is all of a sudden like the powerhouse division in football.
They're going to beat up on each other.
Yeah.
Before this year's season's over.
6-1, 6-2. Vikings are, I think, 6-2, 5-2. And Chicago should be 5-2 if they didn't let that game get away against the Commanders. All right, we've got a daily Gambit to kick off hour number 2. That's next. Gwynn and Chris rolls on.
The workday is coming to an end.
It is 5 o'clock. I will see you all tomorrow.
But Gwynn and Chris are just getting started.
Sports talk it is.
Your hosts, Tony Gwynn Jr.
Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
And Chris Ello.
You can't kick a porpoise when it's down.
It's time to get you up to speed on all things sports.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
With plenty of nonsense in between.
Oh, look! Here comes our fearless producer!
Gwynn and Chris starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
And we're back. 3 o'clock hour. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Scraby's out, Nick DiNucci in.
Might keep it that way for a while.
little Wally Pip situation,
Yes.
if you will. Nonetheless, we'll get to our daily gambit here shortly. Game 5, right? No,
Yep.
yeah, game 5.
5 it is.
Tonight. Last game before the off day, and the series shifts back to Los Angeles, of course, if the Dodgers can't close it out. Hopefully everybody's...
I would recommend that they don't punt this game.
Yeah. It could get dicey if you keep punting.
Yes, keep punting before you know it. You're going to be facing a game 6 or 7. So, this notion that the Dodgers are just, giving up these games on purpose is really
It's really laughable. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. We just said at the same time. But it is, and it's a total slap to the other team that is out there winning these games. Yeah. That, you know what? The Yankees aren't good enough to beat the Dodgers. The only way they can win is if the Dodgers let them. I mean, I think we've all been around this a little long enough. And I don't think too many – Dave Roberts, I think, would find it idiotic as well. He didn't use his best relievers last night because they were losing the game. Tony brought it up perfectly. If they were ahead 4-1 going into the 7th inning, believe me, they wouldn't have brought Honeywell in at that point.
It's just a weird notion to begin with that a team is doing something
in the World Series, let alone during the regular season where they maybe are resting some guys.
Yeah, it's completely not out of the ordinary.
Yeah,
you're winning. If you got a lead, you use your best relievers. If you don't have a lead, you don't use your best relievers. It's pretty cut and dry when it comes to the decision making. On the NFL front, we didn't get to it, but Mr. Carr returns for the New Orleans Saints. He's set to...
he immediately said, I'm not the savior. Don't put it all on me.
He clearly has recognized from this bench over there
that the team has some other issues.
There's some other stuff.
Yeah.
Bills Von Miller practicing after he was banned, basically suspended for 4 games.
I don't like to give them credit because they're the team, that competes with my favorite team. But maybe the Bills deserve a little credit beyond Josh Allen. Remember, they got rid of everybody, right? All of their key players. They let not their key players, but their skilled players.
Yeah, a lot of the skilled players that have helped them win games, too.
Yeah, Diggs gone. Now he's hurt, but, the other...
Gabe Davis
they let go. And they just basically told Josh Allen, here's a bunch of new guys. See what you can do with them. And, Buffalo also traded away a lot of their defensive players, secondary guys. And, they just keep replacing them. Now, obviously, Buffalo hasn't had the kind of playoff thing they'd like. But they're 6-2 again.
Yeah.
They're having another good year. You talk about having a comfortable lead in your division. Miami is in second place, Tony, at 2-5. I mean, that's a wide margin for an NFL division.
Yeah, that's a really wide margin.
Yeah. And they play Miami this week, so they beat them. They can print the T-shirts.
Miami have they shown any signs of life?
They did on the first drive of the Arizona game the other day with Tua. They went right down the field, and I thought, okay, maybe they're back. Then they didn't get into the end zone for another 2.5 quarters, and by that time, Arizona was back in the game. And then defensively, they had a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter, and you let touchdown, punt, field goal, game over. So they didn't do the things necessary to win. To answer your question, I've already punted on this season since we're using that phrase today.
You're giving up the ghost, Tom, for the rest of this season.
Their tougher part of their schedule is the second part of the schedule, and
they're already 2-5
blown
now.
the first part of it.
Man.
So yeah.
All right. Well, let's hop into some Daily Gambit.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo!
If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
All right. Gamble responsibly. Better yet, don't gamble. Just listen to The Daily Gambit and enjoy yourself. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is football. Head to your local Buffalo Wild Wings. Try their new maple chipotle sauce for rich maple sweetness and mild smoky chipotle heat. Or for a bit of a kick, check out the new Cajun Spice for a rich blend of spicy and tangy pepper sauce. Stop by your San Diego B-Dubs or order now for takeout and delivery. Buffalo Wild Wings, go.
All right. Scravy would be so proud.
What?
That we read the Buffalo Wild Wings. He was terrified about that.
That
when he
I would
left
forget. I hope he's still worried about it. Where is he now? About the 16th hole. He's been out and enjoying a round of golf.
It
today.
Started at what time? He said
about 11 o'clock.
Yeah, he's probably around. He's coming towards the end of it.
As far as I know, I haven't received the I threw my shoulder out text yet.
Not yet. He's
still a couple of holes left or so. All right, here we go with the Gambit last night. Yankees were 1.5 run favorites over the Dodgers. Tony picked the Dodgers, thought they would clinch it. Scraby and I took the Yankees, hoping they'd stay alive. Obviously, the Yankees won that one. Next, Luis Gil, starting pitcher, 3.5 strikeouts. Tony was smart enough to go under. I thought he had to go over to give the Yankees a chance. He only had, I think, one strikeout.
One punchy.
Yeah, Max Muncy went down. Freddie Freeman, maybe this is the easiest bet of the night. 1.5 total runs, hits, and RBIs. Well, one swing of the bat in the first inning put him over that. He ended up with 1 run, 1 hit, and 3 RBIs, a total of 5. We all went over and won that one. On to some college football. Tony, our Sam Houston guys let us down last night. 10-point favorite over La Tech. Sam Houston wins a scintillating 9-6 ball game.
It's like a baseball game.
Final
right there.
last night there, yeah. So La Tech with the 10 points was the side to bet on there. Minnesota and Dallas NBA game. T-Wolves by 5. I went with my guy Ant-Man and company. Tony went with Luka Doncic, and he hit the key shot at the end for Dallas to win that game in a rematch of last year's Western Conference Finals. Finally, a little hockey last night. Both Tony and I went with the Kings to win in San Jose. Scraby picked his Sharkies, and the Sharkies won straight up 4-2. So after 2 days of the week, Tony and Scraby are now tied at 8-6. I am 7-7, so it's close.
500
as we head into today's picks. Scraby will not have picks today. First up, again, Yankees 1.5 over the Dodgers. I think we got to keep going there till further notice. Question is, Tony, you go first. Do the Yankees force a Game 6, or is this the night the Dodgers wrap it up?
I think the Dodgers better get it done now. This is the time.
Yeah.
I'm going Dodgers.
I'm going to pick Garrett Cole. I think he's going to do it. I think the Yankees are going to bring it back to L.A. And then it'll get at least make the Dodger fans sweat. Not just a little bit, make them sweat a lot. Because if the Yankees win today, not only do the Dodgers fans have to sweat, there's a day off tomorrow, so they got to worry all day tomorrow and all day Friday.
I don't think it's not a good thing to lose today because the pressure starts to mount. Now.
Yes, it does. Who's getting more strikeouts, Cole or Flaherty tonight? They both have 5.5 on the spread. I'll take Cole to have more strikeouts than Flaherty. I think he'll be in the game longer. Tony? Cole or Flaherty?
We'll go with Flaherty.
You'll go Flaherty, all right. Aaron Judge, he has been the question mark. Runs plus hits plus RBIs. 1.5 is the over-under number. Will Judge finally break out at least a little bit tonight, Tony?
Was it 1.5?
Yeah, he actually went over last night because he had a hit and scored a run.
Yes.
Over. He's got to go over tonight. I think he's going to hit a home run tonight. He's getting closer. Into college football we go. And last week, Kennesaw State, the Owls, pulled off one of the biggest upsets of the entire season. 27-point underdog. They were winless. They beat Liberty, a team that was at that time undefeated. They beat them straight up. Tonight, Kennesaw State tries it again against Western Kentucky. This is action in what conference is this? Oh, this is the Conference USA Wednesday night tilt. Western Kentucky is 3-0 in the conference, 5-2 overall. Kennesaw State, as I mentioned, just got its first win. Western Kentucky by 24. Oh, why not? I'll take the Owls. They're fired up after last week's performance. I'll take the 24 points. Tony?
Yeah, there's no way that they're doing this again. So
you think they left it all on there?
They did.
All right.
They definitely did. I'm
You're
going
taking
Western Kentucky.
The Hilltoppers.
The Hilltoppers, baby.
All right, NBA tonight. Lakers in Cleveland. A couple of things here. Obviously, LeBron James returns home. Every time he plays in Cleveland, it's a big deal.
LeBron James.
I wonder if Bronny gets in the game tonight. You said probably not.
I think this is his last game with him, if I'm not mistaken.
Right,
I think
after this,
he's going on the shuttle bus, I believe they called it.
To the G League.
To the G League.
I think he is going to get in the game tonight because I think it's important to Bronny for him to play in Cleveland. We'll see what
by
Lakers
Bronny,
do.
you think it's important to Bronny, meaning Big Bronny or Little Bronny?
Big Bronny.
Yeah, Big Bronny.
Well, I don't think Little Bronny has a say.
I think Little Bronny might rather be in the G League right now, honestly.
Just playing and out of
the
the spotlight. He's just sitting at the end of the bench right now. Over-under for this one tonight, 227 points. Tony, you're first. The Lakers are 3-1 after a good fight, tough loss in Phoenix. Cleveland is 4-0. They're one of 3 unbeaten teams in the NBA. Of course, we're not picking the game. We're picking the total points. I will tell you this. Cleveland averages 123. Lakers are averaging 117. That comes out to 240.
What's the number, 250?
The number's 227.
Oh, yeah, we'll go over.
Let's go over. Yeah, it seems like a low number for this game.
It does seem like a low number. Cleveland can fill it up, too.
Yes, they can. And they will. I'll say over. All right, LeBron James, this seems like a gimme. 36.5 total. You add up his points, his rebounds, and his assists. Once again, he's playing in Cleveland where he has to shine. So I go over. 36.5. Tony, for points, rebounds, and assists.
I'll say over.
You're going to also say over. And then I thought I'd get the Bulls in there while they're still somewhat relevant.
They got a couple victories in
a
a row.
They're 2-2, surprisingly.
Back-to-back wins, too, right?
No.
Or was
they
it
had a win. They've gone loss, win, loss, win. They did get some bad news. Lonzo Ball.
Lonzo, man.
He finally came back, and now he's got a grade 1 or 2 wrist sprain. I mean, he's only playing like 10 minutes a game because of his...
Did he fall?
I don't know.
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it, but I know he's out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I feel bad for him.
I'm glad it's not his knee, though, honestly.
No, that's better news. But, his knee is so bad that they can't even play him more than 12 minutes in a game.
I think they're building him up. Remember,
hopefully, they got a long way to go.
Years,
yeah, they got a long way to go to build him up. All right, Orlando is their opponent tonight. Orlando is favored by 5, even with the game in Chicago. Tony, what are you going to do here?
Orlando favored by 5 against Chicago. I'll take Orlando.
In Chicago. And I would love to take the Bulls, but they can't do it 2 games in a row. Orlando's, I think, quite good.
They are good.
Yeah, what are they? They're 3-1 so far. I'd love the Bulls to win this game. All right, I'll take the Bulls.
Oh, boy.
It's only a game. It's not like we're playing for anything more than pride, which is the most important thing. All right, I'll take the Bulls +5 at home. All right, that's our daily Gambit stuff for the day. Coming up on the show, as we continue along here, AJ Cassavell, MLB.com, will join us in the 3:30 segment. So we'll talk some Padres, some baseball with him. So stick around for that. Next up is some traffic, and then more Gwynn and Chris on the other side as we continue on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan traffic.
as we mentioned earlier, Lakers, Cavaliers, 4 o'clock. You'll get a inside view of what it's like to follow along as I follow along, as the Lakers look to.
Oh, that's right. You're going to be on the YouTube screen now.
Yeah.
Get ready for a lot of this, people, right here. I don't know if you can see the tip of my arm, but every time they make a three, he gives them one of those. And in this day and age in the NBA, that's all the time.
Yeah. That's a great segue to a little bit of the conversation.
It is, because these guys are shooting threes more than ever before, Tony. And it's a week into the season, but if I were to ask you out there, even if you're just kind of a, not a hardcore NBA fan, but you watch some basketball, you watch NBA. How many three-pointers per game would you say each team attempts on average?
Well, I know for the Lakers, J.J. Redick wants them to try to get up around 35 to 37 threes a game.
Every game.
Yes.
And apparently every other team is listening to that because
that's what they're doing too.
According to the first week and a half statistics, NBA teams are taking an average of 37 three-pointers per game. Now, to put that in a little perspective, 10 years ago, that's not that long
2014.
ago. 10 years ago, the Warriors and the Splash Brothers, right? They were called the Splash Brothers because they tried so many threes. Klay Thompson, Curry, and everybody. 10 years ago, the Splash Brothers, that season, teams attempted an average of 22 per game. So in 10 years, the attempts have gone up by 15 per game for each team. That is a huge increase, I think. Now, they're making them, right? So that's why they're doing it. And, of course, we did see what the Celtics did last year, which is shoot 1,000,000 threes and win the NBA title. But is it good for the game? And I that's the question. There's people coming out against it. Maybe, I don't know whether they should be or not, but people are coming out against all this.
I don't know that it's bad for the game. I think how you get the three is important, right? I mean, the one thing that the Warriors did when they were in their prime that made them a relatable basketball team to watch.
Okay.
Was the threes were coming off a lot of back screens, a lot of give and goes, and the extra pass was being made to get them the wide open threes. Not named Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, because those two were in a league of their own in terms of how they got that shot. But it wasn't just them shooting threes on those teams.
Okay.
It's a bunch of guys. And I don't have a problem with the threes. I mean, I think people watch Steph Curry, and listen, in basketball terms, Steph Curry is probably the closest to normal size that when we watch,
relatable.
We can say it's relatable. So I get why kids look at him and are like, I can do that. It's an elite skill that he has that many of us don't.
No, that's true. He is incredible. I think the 3-point shot, was great when it came more in the flow of offense. When you moved the ball around, set some screens, drove the lane, maybe kicked out, guy stepped back, took a three in the flow of the offense. It felt like kind of a killer shot back in the day. It no longer registers as a killer shot because these teams just trade them, at will, running up and down the court. And I don't see a lot of offense run. I see a lot of, one-on-one, jab, step, drive to the hoop, then step back and shoot a three. And even though they make a lot of them, I don't think it's great. I have no idea what the NBA could possibly do to change it. This is Nick Wright, a former player, said the league needs to change the rules. You're playing a dangerous, dangerous game. He doesn't go on to explain, though, what he thinks they should do. That's the issue here. What do you do? What do you tell teams they can't do it?
I don't agree with the premise that it's all dry. I think the good teams that we talk about often have a system and they play out of that system. Now, how many good teams are there? We can have a discussion about, I think that the Western Conference is pretty solid. And
teams look, they're putting up points at a rate that is incredible.
No doubt. In terms of points, yes, but I'm talking about in terms of aesthetic and wanting to watch a team, right? Mm-hmm. I think when you think about OKC, if you watch them, they got a good offense. Phoenix with Budenholzer at the helm there. Watching them against the Lakers the first one, they got a good thing going. I think your top tier teams have that. And then you start getting out of, your six best teams in each side. Then it starts to get, some of what you're talking about, which is a lot of driving, kicking. Some of it is, as they like to say, getting in their bag with the step backs and threes. Yeah. That was fun to watch when it wasn't everybody trying to do that, right? And so I don't know that there's a fix for it. I don't know that it needs to be fixed. I just think
it's just the way it's going.
Teams. If the teams that are well coached play out of a system and those players get their shots out of that. Okay. If you got the great ones, there are times where you don't need the system because a Steph Curry, a Ant Edwards, those guys can get their bucket at any point in time.
Boston Celtics, just to finish up this point, the Celtics lead the NBA right now. They attempt, on average, 50 3-point shots a game.
That was my other point. I said
50.
I said
but
30,
they're the champs. That's what people want to do. They want to emulate the champs.
I said 35, 37s with the Lakers. Mind you, that makes them an average 3-point shooting team.
Lakers are way down the list, actually.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, that seems like a lot. They're doing that just to survive at this
50.
point.
The Celtics, the Bulls, by the way, set a club record the other night. They made 24 threes.
How many they take?
I don't know. I didn't see it. But they set the record for them, the club record, 24 threes. The Celtics average 22 per game.
Yeah.
That's what they average making. I can't complain because they're the champs. So what are you going to tell them? Stop doing it? If you want to beat them, you're going to have to outshoot them.
That's their thing. And we're going to get up enough threes that it's not going to matter what you do. If you don't get up at this amount, you're not going to be able to compete with us.
Yeah. And guess how many games the Celtics have lost this year?
0. Donut. Yeah. Rock, as you like to say.
Rock. It's working for them. So, all right. That's the NBA conversation, probably for a while.
Well, once Gravy comes back, who is the
he totally shoots it down every time.
Hater.
Nobody wants to ever talk about the NBA. You know what? The NBA is still, I think a big deal.
It is,
and I still like it. I mean, I would like to see a little more of the, sounds self-serving, but I like the motion offense. I like Phil Jackson's offense, triangle offense, where you ran and you set picks and guys worked in concert together. That is just not the way it needs to be anymore because these guys are so darn skilled. They don't need a screen to get open.
But that's the thing about a Phil Jackson offense. It didn't matter how skilled you are. You had to be able to think the game, the IQ. I think you heard LeBron say last year, all the guys in the league don't all necessarily have good basketball IQ. And that's what made the offense like Phil's, which was very intricate. I mean, you had the triangle and different movements off of that, different plays out of that didn't need to be called necessarily. It was just kind of reacting off to what the defense. That takes a strong basketball mind that I don't know that everybody could handle at this point.
But once they figured it out, the Bulls were unbeatable, and then the Lakers were unbeatable.
Big facts. Big facts.
Who's leading the NBA in scoring right now? Tony Gwynn Jr. Trivia.
Shea Gilgeous.
No. 32.8 points per game. Your guy.
Anthony Davis, baby.
Anthony Davis is leading the league in scoring as
Keep
of
it
right
up,
now.
AD. We like it. We like it out here.
We're about a half an hour away from Tony giving the 3 signal because he'll be watching the game against Cleveland.
One of the big matchups for the young guys today. You got the Spurs and the Thunder going at it.
Oh, it's Wembanyama and
versus Chet.
And I read in that story about the complaining about the threes. Wembanyama, who's 7'3", he himself averages 7 attempts per game
getting them up
from
there.
the arc. He's 7'3".
If I'm the other team, I think it's like, cool, you leaving us some space in his paint now. And
No.
you out that way.
They want him shooting it.
Well, indeed. All right, let's get to break. When we return, I believe we have
AJ.
That's right. AJ Cassavell joins us to talk a little Padre baseball on the other side. More Gwynn and Chris.
Be
AJ Cassavell joins us here shortly. Welcome in. 3:36 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Nick Danucci.
Who's doing a fine job, by the way. Hasn't interrupted me once. Hasn't complained about anything yet.
No, he hasn't.
Quite nice.
He hasn't done any of those things, actually, which
things
is
we're used to on this show.
kind of a staple on this show. Interruptions.
Yes.
What is it?
Well, also, let's give Nick this. He's hit the right button all day long.
Yep.
That's another staple on this show.
We haven't been waiting for a certain thing after it's called for.
Another staple on this show is mistakes, embarrassment,
grievances. Haven't had any grievances yet.
It's been a good show today. I'm kind of liking it.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job, brother.
I told you at the beginning, you didn't have much to beat.
You did say that.
Yes, I did.
5:08. Yankees Dodgers continue the World Series. Can Garrett Cole get the Yankees back to his hometown, Los Angeles?
Yeah, I think he can. I hope he does. I mean, I want the Dodger fans to just be.
You want them to sweat this out.
I want them sweating it out all night tonight, all day tomorrow, all day Friday. At least, for 48 hours, I want them to be questioning whether or not the Dodgers are going to choke this thing away. If they win tonight, it'd be much too easy for them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it certainly sets up well for the Yankees tonight. You got your best guy on the mound, at home.
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to win one, and that if you can win Game 5.
Yeah, I don't feel like the Yankees are going at it like we have to win 3.
Right. No,
they're just saying we got to win 1. Get on that plane after the game.
I think having a Game 5 at home with your best guy, if you can win, now the pressure, I think, starts to shift.
I would think so, to a certain extent. Dave Roberts and everybody would say, oh, no, the pressure's still on them because we're ahead. I don't necessarily, if anybody knows, it's Dave Roberts.
Yeah.
Because the Red Sox in 2004, led by his stolen base, they won Game 4. Nobody really said much. Then they won Game 5. I think Ortiz hit a walk-off in Game 5 that year. And they went back to New York. All of a sudden, pressure was on the Yankees, I thought.
It sure was.
And then Boston routed them, I think, in the last 2 games. I don't even think either of the last 2 games was very close.
As at that time, I was probably at the height of my Yankee hate still, because it was
I think
still
everybody
fresh,
liked that series.
Still fresh in my mind from '98. And so watching the Yankees lose that series was, some of the best fandom I've ever experienced.
Yeah, rooting for the Red Sox of all teams. But,
right.
You had to do what you had to do. And maybe life, comes full circle.
Yeah, no,
so
you're
Dave
right.
Roberts was
You're
in
right.
the middle of it happening. Maybe Dave Roberts will suffer it happening to him.
As
you never know.
Chris said, Yankees throwing the same lineup out there. Dodgers pretty much throwing the same lineup. Gavin Lux will flip-flop with Tommy Edman. He'll move down in the lineup, and he'll bat 9th. All right, we're going to have AJ Cassavell here shortly to talk a little Padre baseball. I did see there's some rumblings about Ethan Salas having a good fall league down there.
Nothing wrong with that.
Putting up some good numbers. So
nothing wrong with that at all. Let's see what AJ's got a lot of Padre intel, but.
We'll see how much.
I think the catcher position is going to be one of the more intriguing ones for next year.
But that's come up quite a bit here in the offseason, at least on our show. We've talked a little bit about what the Padres are looking for in terms of I think that I'm feeling pretty good that they'll have Campy back. Question is, who else are they going to bring back with them?
Campy's going to the All-Star game. I'm sticking with it until he proves me wrong, which unfortunately could happen, but I'm going to root for you, Campy. Come on, buddy.
You kind of predicted it already.
I already predicted it. I got to stick with it.
I think you have no choice but to stick with it.
I'm going to. Because if I tried to go back on my word, somebody somewhere in the chat would say, oh, no, you said he's
I don't
going.
even think the chat would be necessary. Your good old partner, Matt Scraby, would be there to let you know and remind you what you said. Now, I think we're on the cusp. Okay, we are no longer on the cusp. We are here. AJ Cassavell joins us. AJ, how's your off season, man? We haven't talked since the last day of the season.
Hasn't really started yet. I'm in Yankee Stadium right now, getting ready for Game 5. So I'm helping out a little bit on the World Series coverage. I had a week or so off before that, but offseason really gets going whenever the World Series ends, and at that point it's pretty busy then too. So good in the sense that I'll get to hang out with my son a little more, but for now it's still baseball season for me.
AJ, I thought you had a great tweet. I read it today. I don't know if you wrote it today, but I think you hit it on the head. I mean, the emotion that a lot of Padre fans, I think, are feeling right now is watching what the Dodgers have done, in the NLCS and to this point in the World Series, never even mind losing last night. It's hard not to be a Padre fan and say, gee, that could have been us. And maybe it should have been us. I
got some backlash for that tweet. I think that's just the correct take. Like the Padres won that series. I'm sorry to interrupt, but had the Padres won that series, they're the favorite to win. They're the favorite to go the rest of the way. It doesn't mean they're going to win it. Baseball's weird, we know that. But seeing what the Dodgers have done in these last two series, and the way I know the Mets took them 6 games and the Yankees won last night, but they've been in control pretty much the whole way. They were not in control heading into Game 4, and I think that's where the sting is. It's the fact that the Padres were that close to putting themselves in the position to win that World Series. I think it was very different than what we saw in 2022. In 2022, that Padres team is probably happy to be in the League Championship Series, and maybe for good reason. They weren't the best of those 4 teams remaining. You can make a case that they were maybe the least equipped to make a run. Had the Padres won this one, they would have been probably the best equipped of the 4 remaining teams to make a run, and that's the thing.
Yeah, it's really hard to see it any other way. I mean, the Padres are the only team that the Dodgers have faced in the postseason where the Dodgers were clearly on the ropes. Yeah. They have controlled every series after that, and it does make it a little more difficult to watch this World Series. AJ, you've been able to cover these first four games of this World Series. Game 5 here tonight. Yankees got a good chance, I think, with Garrett Cole on the mound to possibly send this back to L.A. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it gets interesting because the Dodgers were so willing to I don't want to say punt last night's game, but they were willing to use some of their lower leverage relievers, especially late in the game when they had a chance to win it. And so they set themselves up to be very fresh tonight. So I kind of put the pitching matchup, even though you take Garrett Cole over Jack Flaherty, I kind of put it as a little bit of a wash because the Dodgers will be equipped with their Jack Flaherty hook, and they'll have that great bullpen coming in behind him. But this crowd was alive last night once Volpe hit that grand slam, and I think if it's alive again tonight, Garrett Cole's feeling, I'm just very curious to see how it plays out given what the Dodgers did last night, because they were clearly content. They were content losing the game, but they were content not throwing everything they had to win the game. But once you do that, you give the Yankees some life, and now you give them a chance with their best pitcher on the mound in front of a stadium that's hungry to win. I just think I would say there's a better chance than not that this thing's headed back to L.A. That being said, the Dodgers bullpen is fresh. I would expect the Dodgers to be ready to go to their bullpen early if they need to. Their offense is obviously deeper than the Yankees, and that's probably been the story of the series thus far, and everything that to talk about Aaron Judge. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out tonight, because once it gets back to L.A., then I think the pressure is squarely on the Dodgers.
AJ Cassavell is with us from MLB.com. Of course, he covers the Padres here locally, and but doing some World Series work. I know you haven't totally turned the page to the Padres, but what kinds of things are you thinking of heading into the offseason? What are some of the top storylines in your mind at this point, AJ?
I think the offseason changed a little bit when the Joe Musgrove news came. At the time, we were obviously focused on what it would do for the postseason. But now what does it do for the Padres' 2025 roster construction? Because they clearly have a foundation of a solid rotation. I mean, they have Yu Darvish, Dylan Cease, Michael King, guys that you're happy to have at the top of that rotation. But there are question marks going forward with those guys. 2 of them are free agents after next year. One of them, Yu Darvish, is getting older. Do the Padres go out and maybe in free agency or maybe by a trade? AJ Feller's been great at trading for those kind of arms. Look to add a guy who is more longer term part of an anchor in the rotation to kind of step in to Joe Musgrove's spot for 2025 and then maybe pair with Musgrove going forward? For me, that's the question right now because obviously you can never have too much pitching, and there's pitching that the Padres are comfortable with being their back end, maybe AAA, like guys that like Vasquez and Waldron filled in, but they need another arm. Obviously, there are question marks with the free agents that are free agents to be 5 days after the World Series. Jurickson Profar, the big one, the Ha-Seong Kim option. I think Profar is probably my biggest question position player-wise, just because the Padres, he's been such a perfect fit as a Padre, and you wonder if he has that in him anywhere else, because he hasn't in the past. But it'll be interesting to see kind of where that goes, because he wants to be a Padre, the Padres want him to be a Padre, and it's a position the Padres need, that kind of corner outfield bat.
AJ Cassavell joins us here, always good for some fantastic off-season info. Right now, lucky enough to be covering the World Series. I guess lucky enough. He might want to be with his son, knowing him a little bit as I do. Yeah. AJ, the other big-time question mark, especially if the one question is answered here shortly in terms of the Ha-Seong Kim option, who plays shortstop for the Padres, you think?
I don't think they know yet. I think they go into the offseason understanding that if Xander Bogaerts is their shortstop next season, that's not, I mean, if that's the worst case, or not the worst case scenario, but if that's the fallback plan, it's not a bad fallback plan to have, because Jake Cronenworth's very good at second base. I think Xander probably, defensively, he struggled maybe a little bit once he made that transition back to short, but he also, I think you'd be content with him at shortstop for another season, given his trajectory, and then you probably want him moving off that position. Padres obviously have other shortstop options. They have DeVries coming up as a prospect. That's the fallback thing. Now, I'm gonna venture a guess that they have a conversation with Ha-Seong Kim about potentially returning, and that they explore some other options if Ha-Seong Kim ends up elsewhere. Because Xander Bogaerts at second base, I thought was, once he got the hang of it, maybe after the first month or two of the season, was a very good second baseman. And Jake Cronenworth brings a lot defensively at first base. So if you can find that other option, I don't know whether it's a guy 162 game type shortstop, or whether maybe it's a guy that you're moving around. He's there sometimes, he's not there sometimes. But I don't think there's that answer exists yet. I think we're gonna have to wait until the offseason to find out.
AJ Cassavell, one more position I wanted to check in on is behind the plate, where, Campusano started it last year. Things kind of went south, but I know he's still part of this, conversation. Higashioka might be able to get a contract somewhere else for more money. Well, how do you see that playing out? I know Ethan Salas is in the back of every fan's mind, but I don't know if he's quite ready yet.
Yeah, you can't be banking on him for next season. I know what Jackson Merrill did was incredible and impressive, and it's not for him to take over a premium defensive position at such a young age with minimal minor league experience is unbelievable. Now, catcher is another step up in terms of the challenges it presents, and Salas is younger, and that's just, to me, like, you need that stopgap. You need that bridge to him. I think Higashioka is a viable option there, because I think the Padres need his career trajectory. I believe he's 34. If you could sign him for, I don't know, a year, maybe a second-year option or a second year on that, and you're willing to kind of bridge that gap, I think he'd be a great mentor for a guy like Salas. And he's proven what he's capable of doing with this pitching staff. So, if not him, and like you said, I think there's a chance that he gets a relatively significant offer elsewhere, given that he's coming off the best offensive season of his career. If not him, I'd expect the Padres to go after a guy like him, just in the sense that they're not going to be signing a younger guy who's going to command more than 2 seasons. I think they're looking at it as a stopgap for 1 season, and then that second season maybe he gives way at some point to Ethan Salas. So I would expect that type of guy, but I think Higashioka fits, or would fit perfectly.
AJ Cassavell joins us here, and AJ, before I let you go, one last question for me. I know last year AJ Preller had to do a lot of heavy lifting in order to kind of get this roster in a spot where it could be competitive while also shaving salary. Now, he may not have to do as heavy a lifting this year, but given the moves we've gone over, plus the coaching side of things. Obviously, Mike Schilt has 1 year remaining on his deal. Not too many managers like to go in with that 1 year hanging over their head. Ruben Niebla is a guy that has to be addressed, as it does a few of these coaches on the coaching staff. Any word on how that gets done, when it gets done?
Yeah, that's the first order of business. I don't know when it'll get done specifically, and I know the Padres like to announce their coaching hires kind of simultaneously,
Yeah.
so maybe some will get done at other times, and we'll hear about them all at once. But Niebla is a big one. He's obviously been such a boost for what the Padres are trying to do with their pitching staff. He's been so important for so many of these guys, kind of revitalizing where their careers are or moving guys into the rotation like Michael Kim and Seth Lugo. That's the first order of business because free agency, we've seen it can drag, it can be slow, and you're kind of maybe at the mercy of the players and their agents and the rest of the market. In terms of the coaching staff, those are your guys, and they've proven what they're worth on the field, given what the Padres accomplished in 2024. I think we see that get done before any major moves are happening in free agency or in trade.
Yeah, fair enough. Certainly a lot for AJ to address. May not be as heavy as last year, but certainly a lot to take care of. AJ, man, we'll let you get yourself ready for this ball game tonight. Thanks for coming on and joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, AJ.
AJ Cassavell there, MLB.com, covers the Padres. Right now getting to enjoy the World Series. He was going to enjoy it one way or another, but he's enjoying it this way.
He would have had more fun with his Padres.
No doubt.
Come on.
Me and him would have been debating something.
Don't you think he's right with his tweet today? He said he took some flack for it, but, to me, you can't help if you're a Padre fan but not wonder what could have been.
Yeah.
Based on what we've seen the Dodgers do.
Let's get to traffic real quick before we get to break.
From the 97.3 The
Number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Now, Chris, what exactly did AJ's tweet say?
Well, he basically said that, with the way the Dodgers have, controlled the last two series, the Padres and their fans probably are feeling a little like what could have been. I mean, that's all he said.
And he caught flack for that?
He said he caught flack for that. I think he's 100% right.
It seems pretty obvious.
I mean, the Padres had the Dodgers on the ropes.
Yeah.
They didn't finish, and now here it is. The Dodgers are closing in on the title. So, anyway, I think he was right.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's only natural to have that kind of thought afterwards. Nonetheless, let's get to break. On the other side, Chris versus the fans. 833-288-0973. Give us a call if you want to play.
4 o'clock hour. Welcome back to it. Gwynn and Chris, Cassavell, Tony Gwynn Jr. Today, Nick DiNucci in for Mr. Scraby. And Adam Klug has dropped in to help us with a little Chris versus the fans. If you win today, you get to qualify to win a couple of tickets to next week's Aztec men's basketball season opener against UC San Diego. It's coming up on November 6th. The rest of you can get tickets at goaztecs.com. I bring that up, A, because it's the prize, but B, because tonight at Viejas Arena, the Aztecs are having an exhibition game. They're
UCSD.
No, UCSD is the opener. They're playing Cal State San Marcos tonight.
Right. San Marcos.
And it was interesting because the new assistant coach we had on, Ryan Badratelli, remember we had him on a couple of weeks ago. He's really good. And they told Ryan about the scrimmage coming up tonight, the exhibition game. And Ryan said, "Oh, that's awesome. What do we have? A couple hundred people there?" And Dutcher said, "Oh no, they've already sold out the game practically." That's just to see an exhibition game tonight of Aztec basketball. I guess there are some tickets available, but the word isn't. According to Ziegler, all of the season ticket holders, they can come. And then all of the student section seats have already been taken. So there's only, a bunch of seats left, but not many to go see an exhibition game tonight. That's how great Aztec basketball has become that quickly.
It's a hot ticket.
It is. And so that's tonight if you're looking for something to do out there. Viejas Arena, the Aztecs men's basketball team. Reese Waters will not play. Of course, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. He's the only really returning starter from last year. So it'll be interesting to see the likes of B.J. Davis, who put 28 points up against UCLA in that other closed-door scrimmage a couple of weeks ago. Magoon Gwath will be starting tonight, 7-foot redshirt freshman who likes to shoot threes.
Get him up.
Get him up. Nick Boyd, the transfer from Florida Atlantic. He's been on the injured list, but he is expected to start tonight. Boyd had 12 points in that Final Four game against the Aztecs. So that's just some of the guys that the Aztecs will be showing off tonight out Viejas Arena. All right. Anything else to read there, Adam?
I think you covered it all there, buddy.
Did I get it? 833-288-0973 to play Chris versus the fans.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right. Normally at this point, Scraby reads the rules. And I don't know the rules other than to say you call in, you get a question. You got three of them.
I'm prepared to go on this.
Oh, you got it, Adam? Good. Get it.
Come on.
Get it.
Right?
Yeah, get it.
First of all, Chris versus the Fans is presented by SD Fat
very
Loss.
good. Very
Lose
good.
20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days like our dear friend Mr. Chris Eller did. Visit sdfatloss.com to schedule your free consultation.
Scraby was very, very terrified. That was the actual read that he was
terrified we
missed.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully,
Adam's
Super
on
Adam
it.
came in and took care of it for us.
All right,
again, Scraby might be super terrified, but what he should be super terrified of is the fact that we really don't need him back.
Right. Wally Pip is a real thing. it can happen.
My man
Adam,
Nick
you
over
It ain't
here
going
is
to happen
crushing.
from Adam. He got a lot of stuff to do.
Adam could make it happen, but yeah, he has other things he wants to do.
Nick's crushing. But let's get to the rules. You have to make it through 3 rounds of questions. Each question will get more difficult as we go along. If you get the question right, you move on to the next round. If you get the question wrong, Chris gets an opportunity to answer the question. If he gets it right, you're eliminated. We go to the next person. If he gets it wrong, you get to continue playing against Chris Ello.
That's right.
And if you're a first-time player, you get the first question for free and get to go to round number 2.
There you go. Very good.
Shall we
Adam.
welcome on our first contestant?
Yeah.
Who shall it be?
Jared in Poway.
Jared in Poway, the Powegian. Welcome. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Hi,
doing
Jared.
well. Here we go,
Do you
Jared.
see Tony Gwynn Jr. about town there in Poway? Does he pop around town and visit with the
haven't.
locals? Never seen him.
Unfortunately, no.
We've missed each other apparently,
I
Jared.
went to high school with his sister.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
There you
went
go.
to school with my sister Anisha.
Very
All right,
good.
here we go. First question, Jared. Who was the first NFL quarterback ever to pull himself out of a game?
Anthony Richardson.
Indeed. That wasn't even the question, but I felt like that's how I should ask it.
It was well
That's
done.
Question number one.
Scraby, that was a Scraby round one question.
That was said like Scraby would have written it. Here
Yep.
we go. Question number two. In which sport do participants compete in a ring?
In a ring.
Ring.
In the ring, boxing.
Sounds good to me.
2 for 2.
Either wrestling. No, I guess wrestling. The other wrestling, it's more of a mat.
It's a mat.
And MMA is an octagon.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
Very good. Okay.
Here we go. Question number 3. What year did the United States last host a World Cup?
Ooh, doggy.
94.
Ha ha ha! I think
This
he got it.
was a quick one
A
because
clinic.
that is done.
Nice job, Jared. Ran right through that.
That is how. Yes, give it up for Jared. That is how us Powegians do it. No
I think there might have been
riffraff.
a little fraternal help there.
Yeah.
Tony
work.
was sending signals or something.
Good work, Jared.
Nice going, Jared. Very good.
Hang on the line. Adam Klug.
How did you know the World Cup one? By just out of curiosity.
I'm a huge Arsenal fan.
There it
Good
is.
soccer guy. Okay.
Jared, it's not often we get a soccer fan on here that can answer that question.
Yeah,
You
that
were in
was
the right
good.
spot, right time, man.
And he was lucky
There
to
we
have
go. I
answered
love
it because I would have gotten it correct only because my first ever radio show in San Diego took place during that World Cup.
Is that right?
It did. That's 30 years ago that I was actually on the air doing a show one day.
Well, great.
Anyway,
Congratulations,
I would have
Jared.
remembered. So, Jared, you got it. You stay on the line. You'll get all of the details that you need.
Laker game expected to tip off here shortly.
Shortly. I got a good, fun story to fill in a couple of minutes
Let's
with.
do it because we got a few minutes to fill in.
Yeah, I thought this is kind of, I don't know if it's funny or if it's something we should be concerned about. Probably more funny.
Let's hope so.
Yes. Apparently, somebody has discovered that during Power 4 college football games this year, the in-game communication signal between the coach and the quarterback, you know, where they call in the plays now, because they do this in the NFL, but now this year's the first year they've started doing it in college, in the Big Four conferences. Apparently, those communications have been occurring on unencrypted frequencies, which means...
I was about to say, could you explain that?
Yeah, well, I couldn't, but I'm going to read it. Which means that anyone who has a scanner and has any kind of knowledge of how to locate those frequencies could listen in. And
hear the play calls?
Hear all the play calls, hear all the conversation, back and forth. So Texas Tech's athletic director has raised the issue.
Now,
Said that he's a little concerned that maybe in a couple of his games this year, one against TCU, and if, the rest of those TCU guys are like Braden, they're probably thinking about cheating a little bit. Anyway, he wants to ensure the integrities of the games are not compromised. So the league is looking into it.
I love that his quote and what he is saying, the reasoning behind him wanting to really get into this.
Right.
He said, we've got to have a game whose integrity is not questionable in any way on Saturday afternoon. We owe it to the 120 young men on the football team to ensure that happens.
Yeah.
That it's a game of fair competition and same set of rules are enforced.
And Bill Belichick said, hear, hear to that.
Yeah.
He toasted to that comment. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. We'll see. I'm sure they'll be able to clear this up. But
What's funny is, as it pertains to PitchCom, right? The thing we hear is, oh, yeah, the FBI, the government. This is government-issued stuff that...
Oh, the
for
communication device in baseball, yes.
I mean, because they're clearly concerned about... In baseball, everybody's, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Right. If you had something that was unencrypted in baseball, the other team would be just listening to it.
They would figure out a way to get it done. Now, this might be new in the football realm, but I just find it.
So you're telling me that the baseball ones have taken the extra step to ensure that there's no way anyone else can hear it.
Because remember, the reason why they had to go to these pitch comm things in the first place is because teams were stealing signs. And so they wanted to go, they took the extra step. Now, clearly, the big Power 4 teams haven't taken that step.
They haven't taken that step yet.
It's not for not having enough money to do it, by the way, because the Power 4s definitely have enough loot to get this done. It'll be interesting to see how big of a deal they make it. I know the Texas Tech AD is raising some eyebrows because of a couple games against TCU and Baylor. I assume he lost those games?
I would imagine so.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're a communications expert out there, and there are many of you, I'm sure, if you're not doing anything Saturday, you want to listen to some coaches talk to quarterbacks, I imagine you could find it if you search around.
I don't know how useful it would be to have these communications outside of the actual game.
Unless,
maybe for gambling purposes.
That's what I was going to say. For gambling purposes, you could be watching a game, on TV and be able to tell everybody in the room what play is coming. I don't know. All right.
Those would be, what do they call those? Those bets are called prop bets. It'd be like a prop bet, a pass run here. What do you got?
How your cable TV gets the signal quicker than DirecTV by just a fraction of a second?
Yes.
Like about a half-second difference? One night I was at a party and we were downstairs and the main TV was watching the game, I think, on DirecTV. And I was off to the side in a pool playing billiards pool. And there was a little TV in there.
Playing billiards.
I don't want to say playing pool. Playing pool sounds weird.
I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say playing billiards.
All right.
No. I truly like the description of it.
No.
I do.
That's definitely a unique way of saying.
If I said playing pool, everybody like, what is he talking about?
No, we're gonna do exactly what you're talking about.
But there was another TV in there, and apparently that was hooked up to cable. And so I kind of recognized this, and I started calling plays from the other room, and people were freaking out. I got like 7 in a row right before I finally came clean. Like, how do you know this? I'm like, that's just the way they're lining up.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's
so I took advantage of that little nugget. All right, we'll take a break. We got traffic to check, and we got, we're going to talk some NBA with Jim Brogan, former Clipper NBA analyst, next on Gwynn and Chris. Skinny Crisello here for SD Fat Loss, the great diet, not a fad diet, just a great diet. Lots of information, lots of knowledge dropped on me, and as a result, I dropped 37 pounds. I've also kept the weight off for over a year, almost a year and a half now, and that's because of all the knowledge I gained while going through the SD Fat Loss process. You learn what to eat, what not to eat, and portion control, and how to get right back at it if you have a cheat day in there somewhere. SD Fat Loss will take care of all of that for you, and as a result, you'll be able to take care of yourself. right, welcome back. 420 is the time. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr. Scraby is idle today, but we're having a good old time without him. Donovan Mitchell's on a heater, Tony. Look out. Already 13 points in the first 5 minutes of the game.
It's kind of annoying.
It is. But the score, this is 5 minutes of NBA. 20-15 already. Cleveland over the Lakers. All right, we're going to talk some NBA right now. Looking forward to this. Former member of the then San Diego Clippers and NBA analyst for a long while, San Diego guy Jim Brogan joins us here for the first time on Gwynn and Chris. Jim, thanks so much for joining us. How are you today, sir?
Oh, guys, thanks for having me on. I greatly appreciate it, talking about what's going on in the league, and let's get to it.
Well, let's start with the general, and then we'll go a little more specific, because Tony and I were just talking about this a little while ago, the three-point shot and how teams are attempting more of them than ever before. I believe the number so far this season is 37 per game per team. That's up like 15 per game over 10 years ago. The three-point shot is fun. Obviously, it's the thing to do. You score a bunch of points. The Celtics won a title. Do you like it? Do you think it's good for the game, or has it become maybe oversaturating a little bit?
You know, it's an interesting question because it's definitely opened up a great deal of opportunities for the person that's not 6'11", 7 foot. And if you have the skill set and you can turn it into a talent, and you look at the statistics and the analytics, that's why you're seeing so many more teams are finding those guys that are coming out of college, coming out of the G League, that can shoot from behind that arc. Steph Curry changed the whole dynamics because of the popularity of what he could do at 6'2", and it just really changed what the league was going to do, and every team changed with it because they were winning championships. And that's the defining moment right there. When you see that happen, it changed everything.
Much like really all of the major sports, it's a copycat league, and after Golden State kind of took off winning champions like that, we've soon seen really much every team follow suit. Now, much like in baseball, some teams were slower to come around to the analytics than others. But the thing that it seems to create, Jim, is spacing. And now you mentioned not having to be 6'11", 7 foot in order to have success in the NBA, but those guys who are 6'11", 7 foot are now also shooting the three ball. I mean, was this the unintended consequence of shooting more of them?
Well, you bring up a great point because everyone's watching this. The NBA is so popular around the world. It's fascinating. Adam Silver and his team, Tony, at New York has done a marvelous job, a masterful job in marketing the league, the teams, the players around the world. And they're showing either someone coming down with a massive dunk or they're showing someone hitting three-pointers. And I watched a clip the other day, and within, I think it was 9 seconds, they showed about 7 three-pointers being made. So that's what the viewership is seeing.
Yeah.
That's what these young guys that are coming up into the league, and it's even transferred over into the WNBA. And that's what's really separating things. I mean, you got a 7'2" guy at the San Antonio Spurs named Wanambi from France. He's taking three-pointers.
Yeah. About 7 of them a game.
Down, no low post, drop step move, dunk on a guy. This isn't Moses Malone anymore.
Yeah, Moses is kind of a bit of a relic in today's game. Jim Brogan is with us. For the record, Tony, Jim Brogan, career 12 made three-pointers. So he knows what we're talking about here.
Right.
Jim.
That's because I had a guy named Bill Walton saying, "Give me the ball, give me the ball."
Yeah, you would have had more if it wasn't for Big Bill. That's right.
And when Bill wants the ball, you give him the ball.
You gave him the ball. Let's talk a little about the Lakers. I think that's a team we most closely identify with around here, and LeBron James, and what an incredible freak of nature this guy is as he approaches 40 years old and tries to steer the Lakers toward maybe one more championship. What are your thoughts on LeBron, and how amazed should we be by this guy?
I think it's really turned the corner. Number one, he is an incredible athlete, staying in shape at 39 years of age. And there's two things I think that are tipping points for him. Number one, J.J. Redick, first-year head coach, has a very good relationship with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That's a big part that you're going to spend the next 6.5, 7 months together. You've got to have a professional relationship that extends into trust. There has to be trust because for 82 games, you need that trust, and you have to have that because Anthony James and LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they're the two go-to people, but you're going to need some type of consistency from other people that are going to step in, not step up, step in. And D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, and maybe the rookie, Dalton Knight, I believe is his name, who is a great three-point shooter, can do it. Now, here's one part I want to bring into this equation. LeBron James has his son watching him night in and night out. He has such, I think, an internal drive to show, and I put emphasis on the word show his son what it takes to just not make it in the NBA, but be a dominant force maker. Be that person that's the go-to person. Do it professionally. I think there's an added, benefit to this for the Lakers, Laker Nation, the ownership, the players, that he has his son there watching how he goes about his business. That's a big part. Every parent, is trying to show their son or their daughter, hey, look, here's how you're going to do things. If you're going to get results, here's the way to do it.
Jim Brogan Jones is here, former NBA player and NBA analyst, joins us. And I'd never thought about it from that standpoint, how having Bronny Jr. there to be able to see it up close and personal. I know I got to follow my dad around, but I certainly wasn't an active player on that team, so I didn't get to see all of it. But certainly something that I think that I'll pay attention to moving forward. I do have to ask you, Jim, we mentioned James he'll be 40 in December. I mean, that's really unheard of in the game of basketball, playing this long. I mean, you played in the league. Just talk about the how incredible it is to be playing, not just playing at 40, but still being one of the very best players in the league at that age.
As a former pro athlete, the night in and night out, the traveling, that's what people don't sometimes understand, is that when you're traveling in the NBA, you're playing 15, 16 games out of 30 days, 31 days a month. The part they miss is the traveling. You're 30,000 feet. You're dehydrated. It takes a lot out on the body. LeBron James has said publicly he spends a couple $100,000, if not more, keeping his body in shape. And that's the reason you saw him just the other night. I mean, I was just amazed how he was not only draining three-pointers, but he ran the floor a couple times, and he's so big and strong, he just kind of bullied people out of the way. But you got to remember, he's been doing this for 18 years. I don't think you're going to see someone else. This is generational, what he's accomplishing. It really is.
Yeah.
Jim Brogan has gone into the world of helping people and improving their leadership abilities and all kinds of things along these lines. And Jim, you have a book out, Bullets, Basketballs, and Boardrooms, talking about supercharging your leadership. How is that translating, and have you used your sports knowledge for this book? And I know you wrote it with a couple of other guys, but some of the lessons you're trying to teach out there.
You just see today in the formal educational system, when does a person have a teacher, a time, a book, tests, quiz, homeworks, and it's called leadership, and they're given solutions, ideas. And I just look at now where we need effective, courageous, ethical leadership that can make a difference with people, whether it's in schools, it's companies and sports teams. And, I spent a lot of time around the NFL for 10 years. I've spent time with a great deal of professional athletes, a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL, a lot of NBA players, a lot of baseball players. And, these are fine young men that are doing the best they possibly can. And the right coach can make such a difference. It really can. And I was privileged that I did a lot of work for one of the gentlemen that was part of the book, was a former president of Nestle, the largest food company in the world, Dave Hubinger. And then Andrew Pence, who was a captain of special operations for the Navy SEALs, leading over 3,000 people and directing operations throughout the world. And you're taking your 95 years of leadership experience between the three of us and distilling it down into solutions and ideas, into practical ways that anyone, and we're mostly in the business community, but really anyone can read around in one of the 10 chapters and say, wow, this is something that could make a difference. This is something that I could lead my team with. So that was the whole idea behind the book. It took us 4.5 years to put the book together, just because of the research and trial and error and what worked and what didn't work. We wanted to be a book that is going to be a legacy for people that they can follow, that will give them, as I said earlier, the solutions to say, why can't I do this? I can tackle this leadership crisis. I can acknowledge the challenges that are happening in my company or in my office or in my school and say, I've got it. I've got the resources. I can engage in this area and start the development process. So it has been just an amazing road, I have to tell you, for really 5 years being around these two gentlemen. And then, guys, we were really privileged. Forbes magazine and Advantage Books picked it up to be the publishing, the editing arm. And I wanted this to be a world-class book. I just as Dave and Andrew wanted it to be a world-class book, we want it to be something that people it'll resonate with them, and it'll give them the tools and the skill sets to turn into a talent of leadership.
Tony, I'm going to get a copy of this for Scraby because he needs help leading us on this show. So I'll be going to Amazon.com and purchasing a copy or two. Hey, Jim, thanks so much for coming on. I hope we get a chance to talk some more hoops down the road as the season gets underway. I love your expertise, and it's fun catching up with you, sir. Good seeing you the other couple of weeks ago and getting caught up.
You bet, guys. Thank you so much. Love your show. Keep going.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. There he goes, Jim Brogan.
Good stuff from Jim.
That was good. Yeah, he's good. He's on it, and he played it. I mean, you play it. You've been there too, Tony. You can share things that other people can't. And it was an interesting point about LeBron, the fact that he's motivated to impress every night with his son looking right at him.
It makes sense.
That's a good point.
Especially now that Jim said it. I mean, how early were we talking about LeBron playing with his son? And you know who the first person to bring it up was? It was LeBron. He was the first person that put it on our radar.
Yeah.
And now he's getting a chance to, whether you agree with it or not, he gets a chance to show his son what it takes to play at the highest level possible. I don't know if he has to. He certainly doesn't have the 6'8", 260-pound frame that his pops has, but he can certainly garner something from the work ethic from watching his dad do it every day.
Yeah, good stuff, Jim Brogan. Bullets, Basketballs, and Boardrooms. Jim Brogan, the author, and our guest there on the NBA. Again, Amazon.com. It's right here if you want to get one.
We certainly appreciate Jim coming on, spending some time with us. That being said, let's get to break. On the other side, a Big Five is prepared. More Gwynn and Chris.
All right, thanks to Jim Brogan again, talking some NBA with us. Tony, if we're wondering why teams shoot the three, Cleveland went 8 for 12 in the first quarter tonight.
And that's why we're down 16 right
That's
now.
why the Lakers are in
19,
hurting
excuse me.
early in that ball game.
And we're not
NBA stuff.
making any threes. So.
Yeah, right. That's what it comes down to so many nights. NBA, Major League Baseball Game 5 of the World Series coming up at the top of the hour. We'll keep you up to date on that. By the way, nobody filled me in on this. Nick, maybe you know. Scraby obviously chose not to do this show, but is he coming in to do a Scraby Chronicles? Do we know? Anybody?
That is it, Nick.
Is that a fair question?
I don't think so, but I can get some better, more concrete
I'm going to text
info.
him right now.
There you go.
Clearly, Matt is giving Nick his hand signals because as you were going into that intro, Nick was
giving us some signals.
One of those signals that
we didn't know what it meant. Here's what it meant. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is football. Head to your local Buffalo Wild Wings. Try their new maple chipotle sauce for rich maple sweetness and a mild smoky chipotle heat, or for a bit of a kick. Check out the new Cajun sauce for a rich blend of spicy and tangy pepper sauce. Stop by your San Diego B-Dubs or order now for takeout and delivery with Buffalo Wild Wings. Go. Let's get some traffic before we get to today's Big Five. From
.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Scraby's Big Five. It's brought to you by Summit Subaru of El Cajon. See all the 2 ways to save right now at summitsubaru.com. All right, here's what I think we're doing today. I think I'm going to read the Big Five. Okay. I know Scraby said it. You know, Nick's got a lot of buttons to push over there, and we don't want to.
He was a little terrified of that.
Yeah, so I'll read it, and I read these over already.
Okay.
Scraby must have worked on these for about 8 seconds. That's my prediction. Wait till you hear some of these questions, Tony. I can hear the eye rolls already. Here's this first one.
Number 5.
If you're a Yankee fan, listen to this question. This is such a Scraby question. Would you rather get the heartbreak over tonight or keep the emotions positive for something that's never happened in history? Tony? I mean, what is he? Is he nuts? Yes, every Yankee fan would rather lose tonight.
Let's just get it over with.
And just get it over with.
End our season tonight. Yes, Scraby, this isn't a good one.
Crazy. If you'd like, I can do the next one.
Why don't you try to do that? I can't read these. Why don't you read the next one?
I'll go ahead and answer his question just to kind of play along. We do have some time to kill here.
Okay.
I think I would rather extend my stay in the World Series.
Yes.
And possibly pull off something that has never happened.
I mean, once you win the one, you might as well.
I mean, you're here.
That's right.
You're here.
All right, why don't you go ahead and do number 4, Nick?
Number 4.
Number 4, John Smoltz went on Juan Soto's defense in Game 4 of the World Series and said, "It's almost impossible to get a double when you hit it to Mookie Betts, but we've seen the doubles and triples when it's gone to Soto's positioning and defense. It's like he's playing goalie out there." Question: Here's the caveat. The cap to the question: Is Juan Soto's defense more of a liability than we think?
I get to go first. I always get on Juan Soto. I don't think it's more of a liability than we think. I mean, he's not a great defensive player, which is why I was surprised to see him as a finalist for the Gold Glove. But you know what? It's not fair to compare too many right fielders to Mookie Betts.
Right.
Right? And that's, Mookie Betts is in a class of his own. He's won 6 Gold Gloves, playing every position in the outfield and shortstop and second base. So I didn't expect Juan Soto's defense to be as good as Mookie Betts. And Soto, I thought maybe he took one wrong angle in this series. A double turned into a triple. He made one throw that bounced away from the second baseman and cost them a base, but that should have been backed up. I did not blame him for that. I think Soto's been good in this series, and I'm looking for him not to be, but I think he's been really good in this series. I don't think it's fair to criticize him, and I don't think John Smoltz, if he had to do it overall again, would say that the same way, Tony. I think he was trying to talk about how great Betts is, and I don't think he meant to put down Soto. Yeah. Could be wrong, but I don't think he did.
This is such a scrappy question because and Nick, you didn't do it justice because you didn't read it as he would have read it.
Yeah.
John Smoltz went in on Juan Soto's defense in Game 4. Is Juan Soto's more of a liability than we think?
There you go. That's it. Yeah.
The answer is no. I agree with Chris. It's not more than we think. I think everybody knows Juan Soto is not the best right fielder in Major League Baseball. Not close. But his offense brings in far more than his defense gives up.
I would say that's true.
And B, this isn't the case of a guy like just out there not trying. Like he plays hard out there. It's just sometimes
I agree with that.
Misguided hard. But nonetheless, I don't think we've ever thought that Juan Soto was the best defender. Now, I will say that it's also a little unfair, as Chris said, to compare him to Mookie Betts, because I know Mookie played short for half of a season, or half of this season, but he's always been an elite, if not the best, right fielder in baseball.
He is so good. He's so smooth.
He made that play we're talking about the fans ripping the ball out of his glove, but that's not an easy play.
He actually did catch that.
Yeah,
before they took it out of his glove.
Before they ripped it out of his glove.
The other thing that I've noticed in this series, and maybe it's a little luck, but maybe it's just a little better scouting, are the Dodger fielders positioned better than the Yankee fielders, Tony?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Seen a lot of balls go right at Dodger defenders.
They are as good as we are here at
positioning guys. Yeah. So, all right. On we go.
Number 3.
All right, go ahead, Nick. You're on a roll.
So for 3, we have Anthony Richardson has been benched, as we all know, and according to reports, he was pretty devastated by the news. The Colts don't think this is the end for Anthony Richardson, but hopefully this will restart their relationship. Former QB Chase Daniel, who in parentheses, said that Richardson lost respect for every player in the league.
See, that is timeout. I'm sorry I didn't let you finish the question.
But I know he's saying
he put that in.
It's such
Chase Daniel. Who?
Exactly.
It's such a scrappy thing to put that in there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. The only ending to that was the helmet tap heard around the world has become bigger and bigger with each day. The question here is, do you think this coverage has gone over the top? Obviously focusing on Richardson removing himself from the game.
Okay. I think it's my turn first. Let's start with the Chase Daniel. The Chase Daniel, former quarterback in the NFL, now an analyst, was talking about Anthony Richardson. Now, to the actual question, do we think the coverage has gone over the top? No, it hasn't. Because as I said in Chris versus the Fan, it's the first time we've ever seen a quarterback come out of the game and not be hurt. Right? We've seen quarterbacks miss a play because they got dinged up. They might have had a concussion. All kinds of reasons that had to do with injury. Or perhaps, I don't know. There's probably a rare occasion they couldn't tie their shoe in time. They had to come out in order to get the shoe on. We saw that happen with Hurts this weekend. His shoe came
Jalen,
off.
yeah.
He had 2 different shoes on out there. But we have never seen a guy come out of a game due to being tired at the quarterback position. And I think Chase Daniels is probably onto something, which is also probably led to why Joe Flacco's now the starting quarterback. When the defensive players that don't come off the field are watching the offense and the leader of the offense comes off the field due to being tired, it probably raises a bunch of questions. On the offensive side, the big hogs that are blocking, run blocking, pass blocking every down, they don't come out the game either. I'm sure that brings a lot of questions up to them as well. And so I don't think the coverage has been over the top because this is something we just quite frankly haven't seen before.
Yeah, I said it at the time that Anthony Richardson was going to really regret this.
Yeah.
And he just is. There's no two ways about it. Nobody is having a soft opinion on this.
No.
Because it's the one thing that we can't stand as fans and media and people who watch sports is effort. Steve Fisher's most famous coaching line that I know, Tony, was to his players, "Don't make me coach effort." And I've always felt that. If you got to be coached effort, then you probably shouldn't be out there in the first place. And I don't know that Anthony Richardson doesn't give effort, doesn't play his butt off, doesn't do all the things he's supposed to do, but this one thing is going to override everything else.
Here's the other thing that I thought about as it pertains to Anthony Richardson. It's also a good example of why having experience can be such a vital thing. Listening to him talk about it today, to me, it's pretty clear that he had no idea he was doing something wrong when he did it.
No, exactly.
Like it had never occurred to him that this is a bad idea to tap out of this game. Just hearing him talk about it today.
Yeah, I know.
It was like it was a new thing put in his head over the time that we've been talking about it. Like, hey, man, you can't do that. And it to me, it's kind of an example of where we are in sports and young athletes. Like, he just didn't know. He didn't have that experience at any point where somebody was like, hey, man, as a quarterback, you are literally the leader of this offense. You got to be out here every snap unless you're hurt. He just didn't cross his mind.
Interesting, but true. Okay.
Number 2.
I don't actually have a question for number 2, so I'm hoping one of you do.
Oh, I do.
Nice.
And here it is.
Of course, some 49er
It seems
flavor.
like Christian McCaffrey is going to play sooner rather than later. What do you expect from him when he's back? Well, Scraby.
The way you asked that was perfect.
I expect him to tap out after the first 10-yard carry and say that he's exhausted. What do you mean, what do I expect? He's probably going to be one of the better running backs in the league as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah, as long as his Achilles are attached,
holds up,
he will be will be the best, probably the best running back in the league.
Number 1.
I do have one for this one.
All right.
Aaron Rodgers has found the fountain of youth. He said to the media, quote, "Timo gave me a little fountain of youth he said he's been taking for a while." Smiling Rodgers said via the AP. All legal, of course. He's been taking like cayenne pepper and water, so he gave me some before the game. I don't actually have a question here. So that was all.
His question is, do you... Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
Do you have a fountain of youth go-to?
Cayenne pepper and water, Aaron Rodgers says, is going to turn it all around for him.
I have a quick story about this. I'll try to squeeze it in before we got to go to break.
Yeah.
I might have told this story, but, you know, athletes will try all kinds of things to get an edge. Cayenne pepper water is one that's usually kind of used to clean you out. I had a teammate.
Oh, cayenne pepper is a clean out thing.
Cayenne pepper water. There might have been some other things thrown in this elixir. It was Prince Fielder, actually, and this was when he was doing the vegan thing. So he's taking his stuff, he's drinking it all day, and I don't know what happened. I think it worked because it started to, like, clean him out. And we're driving back from spring training, and he goes, "I have to throw up."
Pull over.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
I was like, "Bro, we like in the middle of the highway. I can't pull over, man." So he just rolled the window down and proceeded to just yak all out the window. So that cayenne pepper and water thing, man, it could be, you drink too much of it and get you in trouble. But in terms of having a go-to, no, because if I had one, I wouldn't be sitting on this mic right now. I can tell you that.
You'd still be playing.
I'd still be playing. Found the youth somewhere.
The only thing I have that revitalizes me is a good, refreshing, filled to the top with ice Diet Coke. I don't know why. I don't believe it's good for me in any other way to work out or anything.
It's refreshing, though.
But when I'm like down and just got nothing, for some reason that works for me.
I can dig that.
So,
I can definitely dig that.
That's all I got. All right, thank you, Nick.
On 97.3 The Fan.
Nick was ready.
He was, and that's what Scraby's supposed to play at the end of the Big Five, and he never does.
I'm about to say, I don't ever remember that thing happening.
He never plays it, but he's supposed to. We're going to get on his case about that. Happy hour coming up. We'll get to some other stuff in the world of sports. World Series game will get underway, and we'll recap everything that's going on for you when we return.
just getting started.
Sports talk it is.
Your hosts, Tony Gwynn Jr.
Now, I will say, the journey, and it was a journey, to get to the press box is one of the toughest journeys I've been on.
And Chris Ello.
If he hits 2 home runs every game, including excuse me. Well, it's going to be one of those days, huh?
It's time to get you up to speed on all things sports.
Yes!
With plenty of nonsense in between.
Oh, look! Here comes our fearless producer!
Gwynn and Chris starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
Into the happy hour we go. 5:01 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Nick Danucci in for Matt Scraby. I texted Matt a while ago and I asked him if he had the Chronicles. He has not returned it. My text, so I assume he doesn't, because he's an hour away from his show beginning if he were to have one, and he's not here. That's not like Scraby. So we'll assume that he's not coming in today.
He's probably
got his arm in a sling right now.
Yes, in the North County emergency ward somewhere.
Got an ice pack.
I mean, I hit him at 4:40, and he has not
getting
texted
an
me back.
X-ray.
So he might be his arm might be shot at this point.
No Chronicles tonight.
No Chronicles.
Go without it this evening.
We're going to dive into a little bit of the Padres' finances. By the way, this hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is football. We're talking Padre baseball, though.
Yeah, this is interesting, and I give full credit to the guys at the UT, Kevin Acey, Jeff Sanders, writing about how much money the Padres are on the hook for next year. And that's not just including their salaries they had this year. So remember, right, they cut the payroll quite a bit for this season. And I think we all agreed they had to do it. We didn't really, root for it to happen, but they needed to get under the old luxury tax.
Yes.
Now, next year, maybe they can spend a little more money, or are they already spending a little more money? And that's
please.
Yes, that's kind of the crux of this. First of all, before we get into that part, the Padres will owe $20 million to Joe Musgrove next year. So he'll make that. And
he's due for a boost.
And he won't be playing. Eric Hosmer still has $12 million for next year. And they're saying a likely $2 million buyout on the option for Hassan Kim. So right there is $34 million for 3 players that are probably not going to be on the team.
That's okay, yeah. Okay, I got you.
All right, that's $34 million that you're spending on Musgrove, Hosmer, and Kim, and none of them will be playing here next year, most likely. Kim could come back.
Wait, so then how are you spending it then if you're not spending it, if Kim's not going to be here?
Well, you're giving him $2 million for the buyout on the option,
okay,
according to this story.
Got you.
Again, all of this is according to AC and Sanders, because I do not follow this stuff personally very closely. But here's what I'm talking about when they may already be increasing their payroll without really adding anybody to the team. Fernando's 14-year contract goes from $11 million this year to $20 million next year.
That's 9.
So that's $9 million more just to Fernando to be on the team. Darvish goes up $5 million more next season.
So we're at 14.
We're at 14. Jake Cronenworth will make $4 million more next year.
We're at 18.
Wandy and Yuki, the 2 relievers, combined to make $3 million more.
We're at 21.
Reliever Jason Adam is in line for significantly more than $5 million. There's no number given here, but
so let's say
they're assuming
10?
they got to spend some more for him.
Let's add an extra 10 there.
Adrian
31.
Morejon, Luis Camposano appear set for raises of about $1 million each.
So about $33 million.
So there you go.
And that's just in
guys that are
returning.
going to be on the team. Yeah, they're not re-signing. They're not going out and getting those guys. Those players are due money next year. So $33 million a year, that's about the cost of a good ball player right there, isn't it? Thereabouts, or is that even enough for a good ball player in this day and age?
$33 million, that's top tier. That's a really good ball player right there.
You also have Luis Ariz. You have to figure out what to do with him. Dylan Cease, you have to figure out if you want to
These guys are under contract.
They're under contract, but they're going to be looking for boosts. Michael King is another, according to this story. Anyway, I thought it was interesting because
those are all arbitration guys. So,
right.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't even understand all that. But I do understand the $30 million that are being paid to guys that are on the team already.
Right.
That's more than they were paid this year. So it's just something to keep in mind when they're trying to, go out and get new players.
This is also why it's so hard to kind of predict what free agency is going to look like, because that $33 million extra, estimated $33 million extra that they're going to be paying on guys who are already on the team.
Right.
So that increases the payroll in itself. Now, who would you say? Kim? Who would
Kim, Musgrove, and Hosmer. That's just money that's kind of dead money right now. And that's, what, everybody kind of brings up a big deal about this. Well, you're spending. I think every team has this dead money around. I mean, contracts that haven't worked out. So the Padres aren't alone there.
Yeah, there's plenty of teams with dead money, except the teams that don't spend any at all.
Unless you don't spend any in the first place. Right. You're going to make some mistakes. Padres have made some mistakes. Fernando, Darvish, Cronenworth, Wandy, Yuki, Jason Adam, Morejon, Camposano. Those are guys that will be here this year and will be here next year. And that's costing you a raise of $33 million.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, something that you have to take into consideration when we discuss the Padres need to get this guy, they need to get that guy, they need to go after that guy.
It won't be as easy to do any of that.
But we're going to go through it, right, Tony? Every time a player's name comes up, he'd look good here. Scraby Alaskis in the Big Five. Should we get this guy? Should we get that guy?
We're not quite there yet. We got about
we got
another
a little
month.
time, but it'll happen.
We start getting into this beginning of December. That's when we start having to dissect every free agent that we can envision in a Padre uniform.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
Now, we've been, quite frankly, it's AJ Preller's fault. He has spoiled this Padre fan base with new gifts under the tree, it seems like, every offseason. So take for that what you will.
He does have a tendency to make it around the end of the year.
Christmas has been very good to the Padres over the last, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Where Christmas was quite bare for very many, many years prior to that. So I get why, you start to kind of envision someone new in your uniform every year. It's kind of
right.
It's kind of been our it seems like the Padres right over the last few seasons.
Do you want the halftime score of the Laker game, or would you rather me not?
I see it, unfortunately.
Oh, you've
67-48.
Yeah.
It's
19 points.
It's a little drubbing now.
LeBron is 12 points, which puts him officially, and I wrote this down before because Sorry, everybody. I'm grabbing my notes. I want to get this right, and I don't have the right sheet.
Wrong sheet.
This is what you get for using still pieces of paper, and I'm the only one who does it, right? Nobody else does this.
No. I won't lie, I do keep a few things still on paper, and I have the same struggle sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is a major struggle because I can't find anything.
You still can't even find it at all? By the way, the Boston Celtics right now are losing.
Oh, good news.
Yeah, 62-49.
Here's the sheet I want.
Okay, there it is.
LeBron is now 1,227 straight games in double figures.
He almost had it almost broke the other day against the Suns.
He only had 11 in that game. Yeah, that was weird. But he's had double figures. This has got to be among the most incredible statistics of all time. He's had double figures in every game for 17 and a half years.
Was it? Yeah, I can't remember if it was Adam or Scraby I was having the argument with about why
they didn't think it was a big deal.
It wasn't a big deal.
Come on, you get it one night.
Me?
I was about to just say that's honestly one of the most absurd statistics I've probably ever heard. I'm not even just saying that as a LeBron fan.
It's ridiculous.
That's absurd.
17 and a half years.
Yeah, that's not normal. In the best positive way possible.
And you're playing in the top league against the top players, and you're playing every night. You never get one night off.
No,
not 2 for 12.
Not only that, they're all the defenses are keying on you at that point.
Pretty much.
Oh, Matt Scraby just got back to me. He said no, not tonight. He doesn't have the Chronicles. So
that's all he got back to us with. I need more information.
I figured if he did have it, we were going to see him in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So LeBron's streak is alive. I don't know. Amazing records like that, they kind of get me.
I think we're numb to it. I think we just assume that he should get double-digit points every night.
Yep.
And that's
well, yes, we are. We'd be totally numb to it, right? 17 and a half years
it's just
straight.
Kind of like putting your pants on every day.
That's a whole-grown adult worth of time.
Yes,
like
he has a full-grown adult on the bench that he produced.
That is within that time frame. That makes it even more like just what are we actually observing?
I think it's also fair to say for LeBron James, because we can get all this in without Scraby here, because he's the one that can't stand LeBron, but we all respect what he does.
I'm a LeBron guy. I got
but here's the thing: he was the chosen one. Remember, that was even the headline in Sports Illustrated.
Before he was drafted, he was a chosen one.
What was it, 5 years before he was ever even gone into the league?
I think he was in 8th grade at that point.
How many guys that are in the 8th grade or 9th grade are said to be that amazing and then actually are? It doesn't always happen, not even close.
There's only one that even comes remotely close to LeBron James, and that's Bryce Harper. He's the only other one that is... And I don't even know if he's in the same stratosphere.
I don't think so.
He's the only other one that has had that kind of hype and has, pretty much lived up to it.
But not to LeBron's category.
Nah.
LeBron is in the league with Wayne Gretzky. Right? I mean, in terms of dominating. I mean, look, Jordan... You actually have to spend a moment to put together an argument to keep Jordan ahead of LeBron James.
You do.
And the one that everybody keeps going to is, well, LeBron lost 10 finals. Well, he's got to that
10
many.
finals, right?
He won. He also won his share.
Yeah.
Michael never lost the finals. Yeah, I know, but he was only in 6 of them.
You are now.
LeBron was in like 14 of them.
There was a time where you didn't have to cherry pick Michael Jordan's stats in order to.
No,
keep
you could just say Michael Jordan, and everybody go, "You're right, he's better."
Right now, he's got the all-time scoring title. He's got the only thing he doesn't have more than him is a better win percentage in the finals and more finals championships. That's it. Everything else he's surpassed.
I think you have to put LeBron on the Mount Rushmore basketball.
Oh, I don't think there's.
Four guys.
I don't think there's any question.
You'd have trouble, but I think Jordan and LeBron are there. Then you can, start getting
the other two are like interchangeable. It seems like
depends what you want to get. You want championships, then you put Bill Russell. You want scoring, you put Wilt.
Yeah,
you want everything. You got Kareem, and you want Kobe, and you want Bird.
I'm getting texts right now, and they don't like the MJ.
They didn't want it. Well, tell them it's even coming from the all-time Bulls fan.
It's coming from two dudes who think Michael.
Yeah.
Think the world of him.
It's the all-time Bulls fan. I mean, I would never be blasphemous for me to ever consider anybody better than Michael Jordan, and I did not say that LeBron is better. What I said is it's gotten to the point where you actually have to spend a moment or two for your argument.
You do.
Because LeBron has put so much stuff up there. So,
and he's only adding to it, apparently. So let's get to break. On the other side, more Gwynn and Chris. Here's some traffic.
Ever felt like you were stuck choosing
All right, the tide is turning in the World Series. I'll tell you about that in a second. First, the Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed on 97.3 The Fan. While you're listening to 97.3 The Fan, you can see what you missed and click on Listen on Demand. If you missed a guest, a feature, something crazy that happened from earlier, we've got you covered. Download the free Odyssey app, search 97.3 The Fan, and tap Earlier Today. That'll get you started. Well, first things, Freddie Freeman did not hit a home run in the top of the first inning tonight. But guess who just hit one in the bottom of the first, Tony?
All rise.
That's right. He's back. Aaron Judge has hit a 2-run homer. The Yankees tonight jump into the lead 2-0 over the Dodgers. That serves the Dodgers right for, punting on Game 4, as everybody keeps wanting to say they did. Yeah. Soto, I mean, the most obvious thing in the world happened. Soto walked and Judge hit a homer. That's kind of what happened.
It's kind of been the part of the formula. The only part of the problem is
Judge hasn't been doing his thing.
Hasn't been doing his thing.
And he did hit it to right center field, Tony, which is what you and I always say.
I told you yesterday, or the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
I said I thought his swings were a little bit better, right?
Yep.
And then yesterday he has a knock with an RBI. Now all of a sudden he's backing the baseball up. Hits one out to right center.
Yeah.
The last thing the Dodgers want is to be dealing with a hot Aaron Judge and a Juan Soto who's been sticking it to him all series.
So we said the Dodgers better get the series over before Judge gets hot. Well,
it might be too late.
It might be a race starting now because Judge is warming up. 2-0 Yankees. We got a few minutes here, and I was talking about there's not. Jazz Chisholm just hit one into the upper deck, and he posed like these guys pose nowadays. I don't know how else to
describe it. Jazz has one of the most eccentric celebrations. I mean, he got the jump shot at first base.
Yeah.
He's got the little one finger high five at third, and then the Euro step at home plate.
Yeah, and his celebration when he hit the ball because he knew that one was gone. 3-0 Yankees. Well, maybe the Dodgers ought to punt this game now, Tony, and start bringing in their lousy relievers just like they did last night. You know? Yes, we may have ourselves something here.
I can tell you that Yankee mystique, it's real. I witnessed it with my own eyes in 1998.
Yeah.
Padres just beating all over the Yankees, and you could literally feel the energy shift and change before the grand slam happened.
Yeah. Didn't hurt that crappy umpire missed the call, but that's something.
That's part of the mystique.
That's something we'll never get over.
That's part of the mystique.
Something we'll never get over. There isn't a whole lot of newsworthy stuff to catch you up on.
There's nothing.
Jordan Love is kind of the question mark this weekend in the NFL. Packers could definitely use him because they're playing the Lions this week. Love says it's not out of the possibility that he could not practice all week and then still play in the game Sunday. I hope he plays because, I'm looking forward to that game. I think it's a good game. If Malik Willis plays, I don't know if it's such a good game. Lions are awfully good. But
what game is that? That's not Thursday night, is it?
Sunday night. No, that's Sunday, so he's got some time. Thursday night is the Texans against the newly rebirthed Aaron Rodgers and his cayenne pepper. That's Thursday night.
His fountain of youth.
Yes. One other one, we touched on this earlier in the week. The Dallas Cowboys' Trayvon Diggs has apologized for his confrontation with the reporter outside the locker room after the 49er game.
I
must say that even though that's a nice thing to do, I don't think it was necessary.
I don't either.
I think the guy was way out of pocket to post something that insinuated that Diggs wasn't giving an effort in the game. I just didn't think that was accurate or fair. And Diggs called him out on it, and I think he had every right to.
I listened to Diggs was on what's his teammate's podcast, the linebacker,
Micah. Oh no,
Micah Parsons. Yeah, Micah Parsons.
It is Micah. Okay.
He was on there and he was talking about it, and he said he happened to see the tweet right after the game, and he said he looked down to see who it was. He said, "Oh, I just saw him. He's literally right outside the door," and so he's catching that tweet in real time. And I mean, that's just
It was a real reaction. I thought it was a fair one,
and he didn't call him out his name. He didn't do anything out of the sort. He just expressed his displeasure with it, which is perfectly okay. I think I just had a problem with, and you and I talk about this all the time now in today's journalism world.
Yeah,
that is
what journalism.
Well, I mean, taking a still shot of a guy running
and then saying he's not trying.
Not a video, by the way, where you could track the whole thing. It's just a still shot.
Yeah.
And you are supposed to make an assumption, and I think that is the part that is maddening. There wasn't even full video evidence to back up what you were saying. You just took a still shot, posted it,
and said this guy isn't trying.
What is so and so doing here? As if to insinuate that he's not trying.
Yeah, he was not happy with that post, and I think you should have to be responsible for your post. I'm 100%. Upset that Trayvon Diggs went back and said, this guy apologized.
The fact that it's today's Wednesday. The fact that happened Sunday, and he's apologizing only lets you know that there was some pressure on him from somewhere.
Somebody told him
to tell him to apologize. But it was weak. I didn't think he needed to. Personally.
Agreed. Your guy Lamar Jackson, load managing. Not really. Coach
Practice?
John Harbaugh gave him a day off.
Yeah.
Practice. He's got a ton of injuries, but that is the story in the NFL. I mean, Jim Brogan brought up about the basketball, and this from baseball. What we don't see is the travel and the getting on and off airplanes and carrying bags and flying all night and going in and out of hotels. That wears on the body. Guys, we don't hear about it. They're not allowed to ever use it as an excuse. It's just part of their life. But the thing in the NFL, part of your life is by week 8, you are injured.
Yeah,
it doesn't even matter who you are.
No getting around it.
No, you're just injured. There's nobody.
The thing I don't think we think about often, because all of us fly, right? We all know what it's like to fly, get on and off of a plane, and at the professional level in sports, that means, private, but you're still doing the same things. I think a lot of people just kind of think about how they feel when they get off a plane and go do whatever they're doing. And the difference is those dudes are actually using their bodies in a way that it has to be in the perfect kind of resting spot, strength spot, all of that. And flying it's just not easy on the body when you're talking about playing sports. Now, if you're talking about, going to see some family or getting on a vacation.
Normally, the first thing you do when you get to your family's house is, can I lay down? I'm tired.
It's work before the work. And it's a lot of work to just be in the position to do the work.
Yeah. Right, 100%. 100%. So, Lamar Jackson gets a much-needed day off, I'm sure.
Can I say a quick thing about Lamar?
Go ahead.
I just wish...
Wait, first of all, we got to give it some background here, because where are you from?
I'm from Baltimore.
Okay, there we go. But, Baltimore... fan, right?
Yes, absolutely. Right. Big Ravens guy.
It's hard to know what you're a fan of, because Nick DiNucci, for a young guy, has an inordinately large number of jerseys.
I do. I'll give you.
He almost can wear one for every team that's playing. So I never quite know what team he's rooting for.
So my pops used to work, and he used to travel a lot for work. That's where those come from.
Okay.
So wherever he goes, he's like, "You want a jersey?" And so that's
very nice.
But all I wanted to say about Lamar, I love him running, man. He's a good runner. I just wish they'd use Henry a little bit more and the other backs a little bit more, just to avoid a bad injury or too much load management becoming compromising of his season. That's all I was going to say.
The difference with Lamar is he's bigger than a lot of guys that are tackling him, as opposed to Jaden Daniels or Tua, who's comparatively soft.
He does set blocks.
Lamar can run you over a little bit.
Yeah, no, but I kind of agree with Nick. You don't need him running anybody over, especially when you got that big 250-pound back.
Gus. We have other guys.
You got a lot of dudes back there, and I get it. And you know what? The cool thing about Lamar is he's not backing away from them giving him the ball. He wants to do whatever he can to win.
Yeah.
Did you see his reaction when they lost that game last week? He had a Nick Bosa moment, or no, Joey Bosa moment.
I didn't see it. No,
he snapped that helmet off.
I bet he wasn't happy.
He was pissed.
He gets very mad.
But you don't mind that.
No,
you don't mind that.
He cares.
He didn't ask out the game after setting up. That's just mind blowing to me. I'm sorry.
All right, 2-0 Yankees on the Judge homer. 3-0, sorry. Chisholm homered too. So that's where they're at, top of the second in Game 5. It's early, but Game 6 is looking a little more possible.
Indeed.
So is the final half hour of Gwynn and Chris.
Hey, it's Ben Higgins.
Last segment of the evening. I don't often pay as much of attention to the chat as Scraby does, but I did catch something on here. Moises Ramirez. Condolences to you and your family, my man.
Yes.
It sounds like your mom passed away this morning. That's a horrible, horrible thing to have to deal with. So prayers up for you and your family. And
Yes.
sounds like some of the folks in the chat have done the same. So
Chat can be uplifting from time to time.
Indeed.
Rare, but from time to time. Adrian Griffin was the coach you guys were trying to think of. We were talking about
Griffin,
coaches
that's right.
that get fired unfairly. This guy was 30-13 for the Bucks last year. See ya.
Not good enough.
In the middle of the season.
Gotta go.
Doc Rivers came in and they went 17-19.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem to work for them.
Didn't quite settle in the way that maybe the brass in Milwaukee thought.
I didn't know that the Cavs had a new coach this year. But they got the guy from Golden State, Kenny Atkinson. They showed him on the sidelines. I was like, oh, I didn't remember him. I didn't remember who Cleveland's coach was before, but
Kenny Atkinson was once fired unfairly from Brooklyn.
Oh,
remember
okay.
he was there right before I believe they brought in Steve Nash and Kevin Durant and company. That was the new big three. It was Harden, Durant, Kyrie.
Yeah.
They had Kenny Atkinson the year before. They had a great run, and then they bring those guys in. They bring in Nash. He didn't last long either.
Kenny Atkinson, he was there in Brooklyn for 4 years. But, yeah, coaching's weird. Who was it? Didn't it Scraby or somebody brought up yesterday? It's a stupid thing he said, as usual, in a lot of times he says, but, like, that guy has no experience. Well, every coach has no experience until they get hired.
Oh, he was talking about JJ, wasn't it?
That's
JJ
right. But the funny thing is once you get one, then they can recycle you like 30 times.
Yeah.
You're all of a sudden qualified forever and ever. Because how many coaches really stay with one or two teams? Not even two. They all go to more than that.
Two is like one.
Especially in basketball.
Two is essentially one team.
If you can only coach two teams in whatever sports you've probably had a pretty good career. If you can, as long as it's not like 2 years, you had one.
Right, some
one.
longevity
Right,
each thing.
Right.
I was looking at the Bucks list of coaches just for fun. Since 2014, they've had 7 guys. That's 10 years. That's just one team that I happen to be looking at.
And they won a title in one of those.
They won a title in there. Bodenholzer won that one, and then he got let go.
Leadoff double for Lope.
Volpe. See, everybody's waking up for the Yankees now. You Dodger fans are going to have to sweat it. Sorry.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, man. You lose this game tonight, it's going to get very
It's gonna get tight.
interesting.
It's got to get tight.
It's maybe not the smartest question. Maybe somewhat dumb.
Oh, well, that's all right. We're used to dumb questions around here.
You're in Scraby's chair, so you might
we're
as
used
well.
to it.
This is probably an obvious answer. Do you think more San Diego fans are rooting for the Yankees to win or the?
You know what's funny is
Honest
I
question.
thought there was like a legitimate question there before the series started, and we asked it, and it wasn't a legitimate.
It was
question.
90%. We're
We
rooting
did
for
a-
the Yankees.
We did an actual poll on this.
Yeah, it wasn't even
mostly anti-Dodgers.
It's anti-Dodger for sure.
Yeah. All right, so you want to get to our...
Let's
do we
get
have
to
an
our
interview?
interview of the day. Bryant McFadden, former Pittsburgh Steeler, now CBS NFL analyst, joined us earlier to talk about what's going on around the NFL.
And indeed, we are talking some NFL with former NFL cornerback Bryant McFadden. Played with mostly with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now a CBS NFL analyst, CBS Radio NFL analyst. Nice enough to spend a little time with us here. And Bryant, interesting you played for the Steelers mostly because, this show loves the Steelers, or more specifically, this show loves Mike Tomlin, your former head coach, and I've always wanted to find out a little insight. He's having a really nice season again. He's been doing it for a long, long time. Does he have the support of Bryant McFadden?
No question. No question. You talk about my support, of course, being there hands-on with Coach T when I played under him. I know what type of coach he is. Number one, to be successful in the National Football League as a head coach, you have to be a leader of men. You have to be able to command the locker room. You have to be able to garnish the respect of the guys that you're coaching. He's always had that ability, and it's no surprise to see the success he's had throughout his career, and most recently what he's doing this season.
Brian, on those same lines, he recognized that the soft spot of this Steelers team last year was the quarterback position. They bring in Justin Fields. They bring in Russell Wilson, and it looks like Russell Wilson's going to start the season as a starter. He has a calf injury. Fields comes in, and he gets the team off to a great start. Yet Tomlin felt like there was more to be had, and he inserts Russell Wilson, and all of a sudden his offense looks like it's got some dynamic feel to it. What did you make of the quarterback change and how it's gone so far?
You know what? Honestly, I was a bit concerned because one thing I know about football, it's a rhythm-like sport, you know, and the same can be said for any sport. When you got a good rhythm and you're winning games, you don't really want to make a drastic change because you don't know if that's going to mess up the winning rhythm, the winning ingredient. So I was a bit concerned, but one thing I did say when I was asked that question the week of knowing that Mike Tomlin made that quarterback switch, I said, one thing I won't question is Mike Tomlin's football intellect. One thing I won't question is his ability to know what is best for his team. And I said, yeah, I'm a bit concerned like most people are because you 4-2, you make a quarterback change. You're like, what happens if Russ gets in and the offense becomes stagnant and we're losing ball games? Then you got to worry about answering that question. Was that the right move? And if it derails the season, can you get over that hurdle? So I said, you know, I trust his ability to understand and know what's right and to put his team in position to win. And so far in 2 games, he's looking like a genius. Yeah. And see, that's the thing about head coaches. That's why they get paid the top dollars because they got to be willing to make decisions that most outsiders do not understand. Because you're going to get questioned. You will be questioned about those decisions, especially if it don't work. And if they do work, you still have some people looking at you with a side eye. But that's what comes with that role when you're a head coach.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin has been doing it a long time. Bryant McFadden played for him in Pittsburgh and joining us here to talk a little NFL. And, yeah, the Steelers are 6-2, but they, like everybody else, is still looking up at the top. And that's where Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are. Bryant, again, 2-time champs and now 7-0. You played cornerback in the NFL. How crazy would it have been to try and defend Patrick Mahomes? The thing that gets me is his ability to keep plays alive and find somebody at the last second almost every time and break your heart on defense.
He's Mr. Clutch. He's Mr. Clutch. He's the guy when you think you have him, you don't have him. He is a guy, when you play the Kansas City Chiefs, you actually got to play 5 quarters. Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because even when you have him in the 4th quarter, he provides a spark. You cannot just get complacent when you have him in the 4th quarter and think, oh, yeah, we got him. No. This is a guy, he's never out of it. You know how old saying in sports, you got to cut the head off the snake to have a shot? You literally got to cut the head off the snake. You can't slice that snake in the middle. You got to cut the head off when you're playing against Kansas City because they're never out of it. And to your point, think about this, guys. Pat Mahomes as an individual is probably having the worst start of his career, in his career this season. But they're undefeated. They're undefeated. And they're undefeated. He don't have his number 1, wide receiver 1. He don't have his wide receiver 2. They just lost Juju Smith-Schuster. They just lost their RB1 and Isaiah Pacheco. And they're still finding ways to win. That's the thing about great teams. The difference between great teams and good teams show you good flashes and sometimes bad flashes. Great teams show you great flashes and good flashes. And when they show those good flashes, they still win.
Yeah. Certainly, Chiefs certainly fit the mold there. Bryant McFadden joins us. And the other hot issue in the NFL right now is the situation out in Indianapolis. Obviously, their quarterback, Anthony Richardson, tapped out of a game. Something I think that most of us, at least who've been watching it, and I'd have to ask you on the side of playing, have never seen before. The next day they take away his job. Now they're certainly saying it had nothing to do with that. But what can that do to the psyche of a team to see the guy who's leading them tap out of a game? Because it doesn't seem like it could be that big of an issue, but clearly it is.
I mean, if I was on that team, I wouldn't want to make it known that I had an issue with it because you don't want to have a distraction surface. but clearly that's the issue.
Right.
Like, you play the quarterback position, and to your point, as you gave the intro into what we're talking about with the Colts, you said something that we've never seen before. Right? I don't know how much ball y'all have watched, but I've been watching ball a long, long time. As a kid, as a young adult, and now as a full adult, because I'm older. I had never seen a professional quarterback run 15 yards and tap out, because I literally thought he was injured when I saw it happen, because I was watching the game live. I literally thought something was wrong with him. I'm like, oh boy, he's hurt again, because he's been dealing with a lot of injuries. But then when he came up to the presser and you actually admitted that, that's where you know there's some growing up needs to be done.
Yeah.
Right? Because even if you were tired in that moment, you don't admit that you were tired to all of us. You could have said I was feeling like I was going to get a cramp. I had some turf pebbles, get in my eye, something. My hamstring got a little tight. You could have said any of that, and we all would have accepted that.
Yeah.
But you came up immaturely and said, oh, man, I was tired. But you never admit that you're tired. You play quarterback. And why are you tired playing the quarterback position in week 8, week 7, whatever it is? This isn't week 1. So,
right.
So making that statement, it didn't help him. And also playing poorly didn't help either. You know what I mean? Because I think the statement wouldn't have came off as big of an attention getter as it was if he was playing better.
Yeah. Bryant McFadden has a couple of Super Bowl rings with the Steelers. I think if Richardson would have come up to you and said, hey, I'm tired, you could have said, I can't hear you. I have my 2 Super Bowl rings in my ears. And just passed it off, Bryant.
Said, you know what I would have said? Suck it up.
Suck it up.
Man, we need it, bro. Come on, what you mean? We driving, we're down. You play quarterback. You ain't wide receiver when you running 100 routes a day. Suck it up. Think about at any level of football, when you're dealing with kids, whatever the case may be, youth football. If your quarterback sit here and tell you he's tired, as a coach, what are we going to tell him? Hey, man, no, you got to play. You play quarterback.
Yeah. What do you think of Aaron Rodgers? What do you make of him right at this stage of his career? I mean, you saw him at his greatest. I think we're seeing him at far less than his greatest now. What should he do? What should the Jets do with him right now?
Well, they have nothing to answer the latter first. The Jets can't do anything with him but start him.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. Because even though the season has really kind of been derailed, you still have to start him. And you got a serviceable guy behind him in Tyrod Taylor, who's played a lot of football in the league, but you still have to start him as long as he's healthy. Now, what could be done to try to revitalize their season? Number one, they got to create leadership within the building. I don't care what you're a part of. When you're a part of anything that requires multiple people to be involved for you to be successful, that's a team-oriented atmosphere.
Yeah.
You have to have leadership. You have to have leadership, and you have to have respect involved. I don't know if they have the leadership, because you know why I say that, guys? We just heard a week ago, as they got ready for the game against New England, the person who was talking to the team was Devontae Adams. Devontae had just got to town.
Yeah.
Right? You see what I'm saying? Like, if someone is going to be addressing the team, shouldn't it be someone who's been around for quite some time? Or your franchise quarterback? But instead, the person who was addressing the team was someone who just got to New York. He ain't even got a bus pass yet. He ain't been there long enough to get that.
Yes.
So I'm just looking at it from the view of teams that I was a part of, and why we were so successful was because we had leadership. We had guys that can kind of rally the troops, because coaches only can do so much when it comes to locker room leadership. We had guys that can rally the troops and get everybody together and keep the morale up. That team is too good of a team on paper to be as bad as they've been on film.
Yeah, there's no question. Bryant McFadden. Last thing, Bryant, before I let you go, you played cornerback, and I don't know if this coincided with when you played, but were you allowed to, when you played, could you touch receivers when they were running routes? Could you bump them off their route? As opposed to today, how do any cornerbacks cover any wide receivers in the NFL?
Well, back then, and I don't want to say back then because I'm not that old, even though I'm older. and the rules were a little different when I first got into the league when I was drafted in 2005. Yeah, we can get a little more physical. We can touch them up a little bit. You know, that was the era where you come across the middle, you might get your head knocked off, took off.
Yeah.
That was that era. You know what I mean? You guys remember the highlights where we used to see on normal broadcasts where it was a routine thing. You got jacked up. You know what I mean? That used to be a segment. You know what I mean? Where people watch the hardest hits of the week.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Right.
It was different then. In today's NFL world and football world in totality, you got to be very, very cautious. That's why you got to really rely on your technique and your film study. Because nowadays when you watch guys cover wide receivers, it can be accidental contact. They're throwing it. And it can be the accidental contact that doesn't really knock the receiver off his route. It's just because you touched him. How can I be penalized for accidentally touching a guy who's running 4.3 at me full speed while I'm backpedaling? Right?
Yeah.
It's not like I abruptly was physical with him. It was just accidental contact. But that's the name of the game because they want to have points. Think about this. Think about how backwards this move is, right? With the new kickoff rules where you got to either kick the ball a certain place to force them to return, or if not, you kick the ball out of bounds, they instantly get the ball to the 30-yard line. So what happens for a defense that has a 2-point lead? And they instantly get the ball at the 30-yard line. Looking at how good kickers have been, they get 2 plays, they in field goal range, basically.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like, you instantly, if you don't return the football or if your kicker doesn't kick it in the soft spot, we got great field position because we got the ball at the 30-yard line. And all we need is a field goal to win.
Damn, never do anything nice for you old defensive guys, Bryant.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'm talking like, hey, I'm talking like I'm still playing. It just annoys me because I watch it, and I'm like, come on, bro. Like, they already halfway in field goal range instantly from good field position because they get the ball at the 30-yard line.
You can say it. It's soft. They're soft. That's okay. Bryant McFadden, so much fun talking to you about the NFL, and I hope we can do it again. Appreciate your time, and best of luck, continued success with your new career in the media, and thanks again for talking to us here in Southern California.
Oh, man, thank you for having me, and go Dodgers.
Uh-oh. Okay. Thanks, Bryant.
Take care.
Yes, sir.
Bryant's probably not very happy right now. The Yankees.
Not going the Dodgers' way yet.
Yankees with a 4-0 lead. Just finished the inning. Let's hop the traffic real quick. Not gonna lie, I was a little confused there when she said San Diego Clippers, and then I kind of had to take a little second for it to settle in on me.
You thought you were in a time warp?
I did. I was like, yo, I know that new stadium is not built out this way. Nonetheless, coming. Scraby will be back. Short Thursday show. Thursday Night Football follows. I believe it's Texans-Jets.
That's right.
Yeah, Texans-Jets tomorrow. Chris, anything before we head out here tonight?
No, we were following the Laker game, but I'm not going to update anybody on that.
Don't need to.
You don't want to hear.
It's okay.
It's not good. 4-0 Yankees on an RBI single by Verdugo in the second inning. Flaherty's already been knocked out of the game, Tony. So Dave Roberts is not.
Things get a little tighter.
He's not punting yet, but he may want to warm the leg up
to get him. Keep his. Here's the thing.
Let the Yankees win again. Dave Roberts can just go tell the media, we let him win again. We wanted to
win
go
at
back home.
Yeah. That probably will be the narrative when we wake up tomorrow.
I hope not.
Dodgers lose on purpose to try to win at home.
Yeah, they'll try that on us. Ken Rosenthal will break the story somewhere, and I hope the Padres ban against Ken Rosenthal is a lifetime ban.
Yeah,
I'm imploring the Padres to do that. Don't ever let him in the dugout.
All right, that's it for today. We'll be back again tomorrow. As I said, short show. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Bye, everyone. Good job, Nick.